Hello, test. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well, madam. Thank you for joining us. I'm actually
Okay.
just starting to give a technical announcement. We can just ask ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, to switch off your microphones.
Okay.
We will be starting at 2 p.m. Brunei time. Otherwise, to those who are just joining us, welcome to the CAFEO39 event on the Women Engineers Summit. Please do share your Zoom ID is named as follows, name followed by organization as shown in my screen here. Please also, once again, please mute your audio at all times unless prompted. Question and answer will be available for selected sessions. You are more than welcome to submit your questions or remarks via the chat box or share your reactions via the function. Please note that the session will be recorded for documentation purposes. Once again, we will be starting in about 13 minutes for this session. So that's about 2 p.m. Brunei time. My name is Fadli. I'll be your master of ceremony for this summit. If you are just joining us from this morning, welcome back for this afternoon's session. I understand there is a parallel session. There is a parallel session for this afternoon for the Energy Summit, but appreciate that you've chosen to be here for the Women's Summit. Otherwise, I think I'll just be coming in once again for some technical announcements just before 2, but otherwise looking forward to seeing you in another few minutes time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, live from Bandar Seri Begawan. My name is Fadli. Don't worry, we're not starting just yet. We will start in 5 minutes at 2 p.m. at Brunei time. Once again, before we do get started, I have a few technical notes to explain. Once again, please do ensure your Zoom ID is named as follows. Name followed by organization as shown on my screen. Please do mute your audio at all times unless prompted. The question and answer will be available for selected sessions. You are more than welcome to submit your questions or remarks via chat box or share your reactions via the function. Yeah, please do feel free. Make it familiar with you on the Zoom functions. There's a little reactions button if you're on your PC with a little smile. I'm just gonna put a heart there just to show. As well, please do feel free and say hi, where you're from. So I'm from Brunei. Fadli from Brunei, and just saying hi on the chat box. Please, let's make use of all this interaction. Indeed, this is a summit. We will begin the event at 2 p.m. Brunei time, so that's in a few minutes. Otherwise, I'm just checking in with our technical people on some other few announcements just before I close off. But yes, thank you for once again for joining us for the Women's Summit. We will be seeing you shortly. Thank you so much. Hi, once again, just coming in just to share another quick announcement. Please do register on the link that has been shared. So from my colleague, so the hyperlink there is tinyurl.com/Women's Summit 2021 CAFEO39. So please do register yourselves and make yourselves known. Although I've just said hi on the chat box, Brunei, it seems like I'm the only one who's using it. But please feel free to use this interaction, as we will have some question and answers. So as with all forums and summits, we will like to have a two-way engagement. We'll be starting shortly once again. Thank you so much, Teresita, for saying hi. Good afternoon to you from Brunei. Hello, Madam Alice. Nice to meet you all. Ms. Setiawati, Indonesia, thank you so much. No worries. I see that very beautiful thumbs up there. Once again, please register on the attendance link and follow the housekeeping announcements that were shared, and we will see you in 3 minutes. Thank you so much.
Hello, good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, here. Good afternoon.
Yes. So we have 50 participants. Wow, not bad. Excuse me. So good afternoon again. I hope everybody have a good lunch.
Yeah.
What
Good
time is it now,
afternoon.
Sohyap?
Yeah.
What time is it? Is it 11 a.m.? Sorry, is it 12 a.m., Sohyap? What time is it?
1 p.m. in
Oh,
Cambodia.
1 p.m. Okay,
Yeah.
so we do have a bit of the time difference. All right. So if everybody is ready, then we will start the afternoon Women Engineer Summit pretty soon, maybe a minute or two from now. Okay. Right. So, Fadil, we have a Surah Al-Fatihah.
If you'd love to, I will be more than happy to facilitate.
Okay. So I'm not sure whether Pingran Fai is in this group, either Pingran or yourself.
Pangeran has indicated for me to do it.
Okay, thank you very much. So, good afternoon again. So welcome everybody to this afternoon Women Engineer Summit under the CAFEO39. So before we start the meeting, as part of our Brunei cultures and norms, I would like to invite our MC, Fadli, to recite the Surah Al-Fatihah to bless the session.
Thank you, Madam Alice. Astaghfirullahalazim, 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 khususan majlis CAFEO 39 Women Summit Al-Fatihah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
Thank you, Fadi. So, you have anything to start off with, Fadi? You were very, very good in this.
No worries, Madam Alice. I'll just start with the formalities. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings, everyone. A very good afternoon from all. Yang berhormat fellow architect Dayang Siti Rosamirianti binti Dato Sri Laila Jasa Haji Abdul Rahman as member of the Legislative Council Brunei Darussalam and immediate past president of the Pertubuhan Ukur Jurutra dan architect Puja Brunei Darussalam, Engineer Alice Lim, Chair Lady of the Women Engineers ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organizations, AFEO, fellow engineers of AFEO, esteemed speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen from throughout ASEAN. So welcome to the Engineer Summit, as Madam Alice has put it. And once again, my name is Fadli and live from Bandar Kampung. I am your host. Thank you for joining us once again from the morning event, opening ceremony to this Women's Summit event for this afternoon. So just some scene setting before I give back the floor to Madam Alice. I think very often we hear the phrase, behind every successful man, there is a woman. But today, not only witness women being the strength and key pivot of families, but women are said to assume an ultimate role behind the functioning of the whole world and success of community or society. Evidently, there are women who rose above their callings with unrelenting determination and successfully established themselves in STEM careers. However, some have left their dreams and inspiration behind. Today's summit aims to uncover some of the many stories unknown and untold. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Engineer Alice Lim, Chair Lady of Women Engineers, AFEO, for her opening remarks. Madam Alice, please.
Thank you, Fadli. Right, okay. Thank you, everybody. Please bear with me for a few minutes. So, yang berhormat, fellow Dr. Architect Siti Rosamirianti, Datuk Sri Laila Jasa Haji Abdul Rahman, dan Dr. Siawati Yani, Dr. Hong Yunyan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, of course, we do have gentlemen here. It's my great pleasure to welcome everybody to this Women Engineer Summit being held under the CAFEO39 for for this year. So this year, this is the second year that we have succumbed to COVID-19, which restricted us from traveling and meeting in person. So I feel very sad about this. However, with the advance in engineering and technology, humans are capable of resolving and tackle challenges that we face all the time. Here we are, getting on with our lives with the new norms and meeting each other through this virtual platform. Not satisfactory, but we still can see all your beautiful faces and smiles. So our theme for the WE Summit today is the untold stories of women in STEM. Later, we are going to hear some good, nice, beautiful stories about how some wonderful women have resiliently, and with determinations succeed through education in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM in short, and continue to progress to attain remarkable careers in STEM-related field. Why is it significant for women to take up STEM educations and pursue careers in similar field? STEM educations gives us skills that make us more enjoyable and ready to meet the current labor demand. It comprises the whole range of experience and skills. Science gives us an in-depth understanding of the world around us. It also helps us to become better at our research thinking and critical thinking skill. And of course, technology prepares us, especially the young people, to work in an environment, especially like today and in the world, full of high-tech technologies or high-tech innovations. Engineering, as we all gone through, we know that we are able to equip with problem-solving skills, a better problem-solving skills, and apply this knowledge in the new projects. Mathematics enables us to analyze problems, data, etc., and informations more critically, and we also can make conscious decisions when we are looking and finding for solutions. So STEM education links all these disciplines into a very integrated and cohesive system. And therefore, it prepares professionals who can transform society with innovation and sustainable solutions. I can see, and we are all actually witnessing, that STEM occupations are expected and continuously to have rapid growth in the coming decades. The number of women in science, technology, or STEM is relatively low compared to men. And yesterday, we actually have data from Singapore, IES, which shows that only 9% of engineers are female engineers registered with IES. So this is not a very good indication. It's not very good data statistically, but I think slowly the percentage will be increasing. With more encouragement, with more awareness, representation, I believe STEM females will eventually match the numbers of STEM males, ushering into a new era of equality. And of course, engineering slowly will become their chosen career. This is not only good for us, but obviously it will be good to meet the world's demands for better and able workforce. So today, as I said just now, we will be also hearing some very good experience and stories about women who has gone through the journey of STEM educations and STEM occupations. Now, let's start with the first keynote speakers. I won't be talking too much. Thank you very much. And I wish everybody have a good, fruitful, inspiring, and successful summit this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank Thank you so much. That was Madam Engineer Alice Lim, Chair Lady of Women Engineers, AFIO. I hope my audio is a bit better than earlier. I was just signaled by my colleagues to improve my microphone, so apologies on that. But in any case, I am very happy to now address our keynote speakers. Yang berhormat fellow Dr. Architect Siti Rozai Mirianti binti Dr. Seri Laila Jasa, Haji Abdul Rahman, will be presenting her speech entitled Reimagining Women's Inclusion in a Sustainable Digital Future. Very fascinating topic. So I will now hand off the floor to the Yang Berhormat for her wonderful keynote speech. Yang Berhormat, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon and salam sejahtera to all. Your Excellencies, distinguished speakers and guests, our ASEAN women engineers, resilient and inspiring warriors of industry. Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate His Majesty Sultan Haji Hassan Al-Bolkiah Mu'izzuddin wa Daulah Ibni Almarhum Sultan Haji Omar Ali Saifuddin Sa'dul Khairi Waddin Sultan and Yang di-Pertuan of Negara Brunei Darussalam in receiving this year Distinguished Honorary Patron Award of the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organization. His Majesty's leadership and contribution has brought peace, prosperity, and development for the people of Brunei and beyond. I would also like to congratulate the Minister of Energy for the conferment of the Distinguished Honorary Fellow and to the rest of the Ministers and Deputy Ministers for receiving the conferment of the Honorary Fellow from Brunei Darussalam. It is truly a great honor to be part of today's Women Engineers Summit, a day to celebrate our ASEAN women engineers who have moved their way through mountains and unlock so many possibilities to get to where they are today. We have heard many incredible journeys, but there are still more untold stories that deserve recognition of their contribution in making a difference in the industry and also society. The impact brought by the COVID-19 pandemic has shed a light on various important issues, such as digital gender divide and relating to today's summit theme on the gender disparities in the fields of STEM, reminding us the existing magnitude of these inequalities is striking and affecting the livelihoods of the people. Now, even before the pandemic, progress towards gender equality had been uneven, and that large gender gaps remained across the world. And despite many of the advancements we've made, women and girls continue to find themselves in disadvantageous situation across ASEAN. And in the meantime, policy recommendations can flow, but what is lacking are the concrete projects on the ground that truly support women, more so to guide them. Now, the pandemic has pushed us to reimagine women's inclusivity with a heart of resilience and empathy in response to the present situation, as well as to recover and thrive in shaping the new normal. It begs to be approached from a different angle for a solid yet fluid solution to be synchronized and implemented, in which our women must be included and involved. So we are now transitioning towards a new dimension, which requires for a stronger groundwork. And the question is, what does this transition mean, especially for women? COVID-19 has underscored society's reliance on women, both on the frontliners and at home. Not only do women make up 70% of the world's health workers and first responders, according to the World Economic Forum, women in STEM fields have been leading crucial breakthroughs in the fight against the pandemic, from doing research on understanding the virus to developing vaccines and creating trackers. Dr. Özlem Turusi, co-founder of BioNTech, helped produce the first vaccine. Then we have Ramida Juong Paisal, a 24-year-old female coder who helped build Bangkok's first coronavirus tracker overnight. And today, we're also proud to applaud the one and only woman representative, Professor Dr. Haja Zahra Aziz Sulaiman, the Vice Chancellor of University Technology Brunei, receiving the conferment of the Honorary Fellow from Brunei Darussalam for her contribution to the academia in spearheading UTB to be among the best 10 universities of engineering and technology in Southeast Asia. For too long, the STEM fields have been shaped by gender-based inequalities, and this also includes on the perception that girls and women are less suited to technology-based roles. And it often perceives as male-dominated industry which continue to prevent many girls and women from taking up and remaining in careers in science and tech across the world. So now, not only we are facing the existing issues of gender imbalance, but also a growing concern towards the digital gender divide, which raise important questions that need to be addressed, including how future trends such as digitalization and automation might amplify the impact of COVID-19 on women, and with the future of work currently changing, more existing and new jobs are being modified, which requires knowledge and skills in STEM. And at the same time, millions of girls and women in particular are missing out on developing the skills they need to effectively participate in industry. As digitization of economies expands, economic and social growth will increasingly depend upon people's ability to use technology. The gender disparities in digital adoption and use is limiting women's access employment opportunities and workforce participation. According to the economic consequences of digital gender gap costs of exclusion report conducted by the World Wide Web Foundation, a failure to ensure women have equal access to the internet has cost low-income countries around $1 trillion over the past decade, and this could also mean an additional loss of $500 billion by 2025 if government continue to not take further action. It is an issue that we are encountering today across ASEAN, and we can no longer overlook, but as our responsibility to ensure that instead of being barriers, digital technologies become enablers for both girls and women. We need every effort to ensure the equitable and inclusive in the use of digital tools for online learning and gaining new skills. So, how do we overcome these challenges to facilitate an inclusive digital skills development with a solution that also prioritizes the recovery for the loss of livelihoods? As the chair of ASEAN Business Advisory Council and Legacy Project, Brunei, I am pleased to share with you Brunei's legacy project called Hired, H-I-R-E-D, means harnessing impact with resilient employability digitally, a public-private initiative which harnesses on existing and new initiative nationally and regionally that aims at strengthening the human capital and tomorrow's workforce with building transversal skills for the future of work. And through Hired, we seek to provide opportunities for the youth, unemployed, existing workforce, and most importantly, in ensuring inclusivity. Women and girls with the digital training and mentorship programs remotely to gain the relevant skills to become employable and relevant to today's industry in reaching their fullest potential. And here is where we can untap opportunities in getting our ASEAN women engineers to become as mentors, as we want the best to teach so they can become the best. I am a passionate believer in mentorship as it can help anyone to grow resilient and future ready through a wealth of knowledge transfer by sharing best practices from the experts of industries or leaders of businesses. If we want them to learn fast, we need to mentor them. We teach them our experiences so they can grow and push beyond their comfort zone to thrive in today's volatile job market. It is indeed a trial for everyone during these difficult times, but it shouldn't stop you from still pursuing your vision. I'm also a firm believer in having a vision. It allows you to see where or what you want to achieve with ceaseless efforts and energy. I'm truly grateful for being able to share with you today as part of the untold stories of seeing the vision I had with my team come to life. 2 projects that indeed push to think outside the box in creating innovative solutions, yet meaningful to complex design, especially during this pandemic. First is the Abode Resort and Spa in Temburong district, known as Brunei's Green Jewel. It's powered by 100% renewable energy, creating unprecedented investment, leading to realizing the nation's vision towards a more sustainable energy future. The project has successfully integrated in reusing materials through sourcing from local community to also having local workforce involvement in ensuring sustainability as well as preserving the nature throughout the construction and well into the life of the resort. Second, we have the National Housing in Kampung Lugo Phase 2 project, a national sustainable urban housing development that adopts land integration and shared public facilities alongside the Green Mark Gold certification for the low-cost housing. This project vision aligns with the National Climate Action on Protocol Hijau to reduce the government carbon footprint by minimizing land use, as well as to plant 1 tree for each house that is to be built under the project scheme. That means 1,000 units of housing shall we have 1,000 more trees to be planted by 2023. As Brunei aspires towards a low carbon and climate resilient nationwide, it is important that we also play our part in contributing back to the vision of our country. What truly matters at the end of the day is the purpose of what we are trying to do, and after all, must serve the needs of the community in Brunei and also ASEAN. It is just not about rectifying the long-standing inequalities, but also about building a resilient world in the interest of everyone, with women at the center of recovery. And to end, there is still more work that needs to be done, and it calls for a collaborative and integrated cross-sectoral approach with an effective mechanism to monitor its implementation, with all stakeholders working together as ASEAN, as one community, sama-sama. So let us care and recover, prepare for a stronger unity, and prosper together towards building a resilient and sustainable ASEAN digital future, sama-sama. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Yang Berhormat, for that wonderful keynote for this afternoon's summit. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Satyawati Yani will be presenting her speech entitled Women Engineering Education Eastern Indonesia, Opportunities and Challenges. I now hand over the floor to the Dr. Satyawati for her keynote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fadli, for inviting me to give a talk. And I will share my presentation file.
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
All
and
right.
it's now being shared.
I hope my voice hopefully clear from there, Fadli.
Beautifully done. Beautifully delivered.
All right, thank you so much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Madam Alice, Chair, Lady of Women Engineers Summit, and also distinguished guests and speakers, ladies and gentlemen. It is really an honor for me to be able to share with you in this forum. Yang berhormat Dr. Siti Rozai Merianti just now gave a very inspiring talk about women, especially women engineers, resilient, especially in the pandemic of COVID-19 era. And Dr. Hong Nguyen will give a talk on the issues of closing gap of women in STEM. And from myself, I will share about women engineering education. Let me introduce myself. I am Wati, representing Women Engineers Forum, the institution of engineers Indonesia, or we call our forum as I am a faculty member in the Faculty of Industrial Technology, the Muslim University of Indonesia in Makassar, a city in eastern Indonesia. In this precious event, where women engineers share their untold story, their journey, success, and rewarding stories, I hope, of their experiences as a woman working in science, technology, and engineering sector, a sector which usually stereotyped as a male-dominated sector. But I believe that from their stories, our stories as women engineers, a stereotype of engineering sector as a male-dominated sector is not true. And we are here to talk about our untold stories of how we could excel in this sector, and for myself as an educator to inspire and attract more intelligent young women to be brave, to be happy, to achieve their dreams to be an engineer. In this opportunity, I'd like to share with you on how we took a little path from Eastern Indonesia, the place with opportunities as well as challenges in educating young generations, including young women, to be engineers. I start my talk to look at engineers and engineering educations in Indonesia, the opportunity and challenges of women engineering education in Eastern Indonesia, and I will conclude my talk with looking at what we have done in Faculty of Industrial Technology to inform generations, including female students, about engineering study programs, so that later they will learn their pathway to be an engineer by joining engineering education study programs. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look to the data from the institutions of engineers in Indonesia. Currently, there are only approximately 25% or about 80,000 of engineers available of total required engineers in Indonesia. Ideally, Indonesia needs around 260,000 engineers to meet the high demand of engineers for infrastructure development, industries, and also other engineering activities. With the current number of engineers in Indonesia, it means that we are only able to prepare around 3,000 engineers per 1 million population. Well, compared to the number of engineers per 1 million population in Malaysia, Vietnam, and also Singapore, Indonesia needs to work harder to achieve a suitable number of engineers. If we look at the data from Indonesia Statistics Agency in 2019, although there was only 70% of new university students joining engineering study programs, we have a huge opportunity to fulfill the requirement of engineers in the future. In 2019, there were more than 350,000 new engineering students registering in the Faculty of Engineering in Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, in Eastern Indonesia, there are opportunities as well as challenges in managing an engineering study programs to train and produce skilled both men and also women engineering graduates. Let's see the map on the screen. Eastern Indonesia includes area of the islands and archipelagos of Sulawesi, Nusa Tenggara, Maluku, and also Papua. These vast areas certainly require graduates of engineering programs to carry out engineering actions in various departments or units. Eastern Indonesia is blessed with extraordinary natural resources, including precious non-renewable resources such as gold, copper, natural gas, etc., as well as renewable resources from our fertile soils under tropical climate. Those resources, of course, call for wise and sustainable treatment by our engineers. Based on the Statistic Agency of Indonesia, 16% of Indonesians' population live in Eastern Indonesia, and around 44.9% of them are women. The human resources, both male and female, are needed to be well prepared to carry out management and conduct engineering duties in government, industries, and various agencies or institutions to achieve sustainable development goals. Currently, Eastern Asia, especially between male and female to receive. This is a good point to encourage young female generations to study in engineering programs. To produce male and female quality engineers, we need quality engineering higher education institutions. The availability of engineering programs, of course, is one of the answers to provide solutions in the management of resources and areas in a sustainable manner. To manage the higher education system professionally, the government of Indonesia divides the education area into 16 regions, which is named as LL-Dikti, Higher Education Service Agency. Eastern Indonesia consists of 5 LL-Dikti regions, namely LL-Dikti 8, Bali and Nusa Tenggara, LL-Dikti 9, South Central, Southeast and also West Sulawesi. LL-Dikti 12 covers Maluku and also North Maluku. LL-Dikti 14 covers Gorontalo, Central Sulawesi and also North Sulawesi, and LL-Dikti 16 for Papua and West Papua provinces. Based on Dikti statistical data, the number of engineering study program in Eastern Indonesia is around 530 engineering study programs out of around 3,000 study programs. In 2019, the comparison of the number of engineering study program graduates in the Eastern Indonesia regions can be seen in the graph to the right. In LL-Dikti 8, 9, 12, and 14, in general, the number of female graduates is greater than the number of male graduates, except in LL-Dikti 16, Papua and West Papua, the number of female graduates is about 45%. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a closer look to my faculty, Faculty of Industrial Technology of Universitas Muslim Indonesia, or the Muslim University of Indonesia. In 2019, the comparison of the number of male and female graduates for 3 study programs, namely Industrial Engineering, chemical engineering, and mining engineering can be seen on the screen. For industrial engineering study program, around 46% of graduates are women graduates, whereas chemical engineering is quite popular among women students. It can be seen that almost 60% of graduates are women chemical engineering graduates. As for mining engineering, graduates are still dominated by men. There are only 23% female graduates. However, this number has increased from previous year. In the new academic year of 2021 and 2022, positive things happened to the mining study programs. It gradually increased. The number of female new students was about 26%. For the faculty members, chemical engineering has more female engineers lecturers than male engineers lecturers, whereas in industrial and mining engineering, the female engineers lecturers are approximately 1/3 of the total lecturers. Ladies and gentlemen, in the picture, you can see the trend of internet and social media usage in January 2021 from Hootsuite. It is a fact that now we live at a digital era. Of the 7.83 billion people in the world, 4.66 billion people, or almost 60%, are internet users. And 4.2 billion people, or 90% of the internet users, accessing actively the social media daily. On average, the world's population spends more than 2.5. If we dig a little bit deeper on who are the social media users, from Hootsuite, we find information that around 22% of the social media users are younger generation. It's the people with the age between 13 to 24 of years age. Seeing this phenomenon, of course, we must be adaptive in introducing study programs of engineering to the public, to the younger generations, including female future students. At FTI-UMI, my faculty, we continuously create various content in order to bring information about engineering closer to younger generations, again, including young female students. In 2019, we created a soft campaign about a woman engineer. The campaign was made in short movie entitled Terlambat or Late. It is about the high school students who always late coming to school because she has a very hard life, but she has a very big dream to become an engineer. The dream also her mother's dream. It was above our expectations that the short movie uploaded in Faculty of Industrial Technology UMI YouTube channel went viral. The film was quite phenomenal for education and soft campaign. In less than 1 week, it was watched by more than 1 million viewers in YouTube. And so far, it has been watched by more than 10 million viewers on YouTube and shared widely via WhatsApp group, and other social media platforms. We at FTI-UMI are delighted that our campaign about participation of women in engineering education got positive appreciation from public. Through this film, we want to convey message that everyone, including girls, has the right and opportunity to pursue their dream of becoming an engineer. We hope that through soft campaign about engineering to the wider community, we could reach more potential future engineers, including female future engineers, the engineers who will play a role in achieving sustainable development goals. To conclude my talk, I'd like to rephrase the quote at the end of our film, Terlambat. No matter how hard the situation is, all of us has the right to education. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much to Dr. Satyawati.
Thank you.
So I'm just testing my microphone once again. We do apologize for the technical difficulty there from my end. But once again, it's been a lovely keynote so far. For the next one, we will now welcome Professor Hong K.D. Nguyen. Will be presenting her speech entitled Closing the Gender Gap with STEM. I'll now hand over the floor to Professor Hong, please.
Good afternoon. I hope that everyone hear myself clear.
Very well delivered. Your camera. And
can I share the screen?
Sure. Can I have just the technical team to share her screen?
Yes, I just wonder if you see the full screen.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay.
All right, lovely.
I tried to jump on the first one then.
Sure.
Right. So got it? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for giving me a chance here to be a keynote speaker today. And as a representative from Vietnam, I'm the head of the Institute of Education and Human Development and work for Vietnam Union of Science and Technologies Association. And the talk today will be about the closing the gender gap in STEMs. And there are a few aspects I want to mention this afternoon. Some of the historical perspective we want to mention, and why are there less women in this field than men, and some of the women roles in STEM, which is quite obvious now, and promising STEM gender gap solutions. So talking about gender gap in STEM, we have to look back at the historical background. STEM actually stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But when we talk about STEM and all major STEM fields, they actually talking about the degree program and the career path related to this topic. So according to a new study, 90% of women who work in STEM admitted that gender discrimination remains a career obstacle in STEM field. And there is a history, facts and figures. Before 1960s, most historians were men. They were men, middle class, with extremely conservative attitude, who imposed their own sexual values on all the culture in all history period. And as you see from the screen, I put two pictures of the most amazing woman here. Is Kovalevskaya and Marie Curie. And Marie Curie is a woman, a scientist, who suffered the discrimination as well. As I remember her story quite clearly, that all her work that she done before was recorded as done by his husband rather than her. And that some of the story that this woman suffered from discriminations. So all other women had contributed to the science as well. Many women have made significant contribution to our understanding of the world. But these contributions are only now being recognized. A lot of names I want to mention that won Nobel Prize, like Ada Lovelace, Marie Curie, most amazing woman, Katherine Johnson, Rosalind Franklin, an English chemist, or Sally Ride, an engineer and physicist that won the Nobel Prize. But when you look at when you try to look at the word physicist or computer engineer on the web, and this is how you see all man images. This is actually a typical stereotype in science. So why are there less women in the field of STEM than men? Why so few? The answer is actually around us. The research we provide evidence that social and environmental factors at work, at home, at school, and in the workplace act as barriers to girls and women's performance and participation in science, technologies, engineering, and mass field. This is a figure that I recorded into 2019, where you can see that only 28% of the workforce in science, technology, and engineering and math, and men vastly outnumber women majoring in most STEM fields in college. And the highest percentages stand for the biological scientists. This is quite popular actually. And some other global situation during this year that men continue to dominate the STEM workforce in many countries. And board of technology company historically lacking gender diversity are making progress. However, despite the improvement at the board level, the technology industry still lack of women in senior leadership. So we're actually talking about reframe. We need more women in STEM. We need to attract more women. But the most problem here, the issues here is not bringing women to STEM, but keeping them there. Because there is a fact and figure that 40% of women with full-time job in science and technologies, engineering and math will leave their job, will leave their position for pursue part-time position and when they have the first child. And this is the scientific result. This is and why is that? Because we also have a gender pay gap in STEM, and this is one of the really important reasons why women leaving. And I'm talking about other as well. Women are paid less than men for entry-level position, and it has nothing to do with their skill, nothing. It's all about their gender. And in 2020, the pay gap between women and STEM qualified industry were 19%. And women earn an average of 28,000 US dollar less than men at the same position. So what hinders girls from STEM? First, I can see is a disabling environment, poor monitoring, education system assess curricula, teaching materials, things like that. And we create a disabling environment for women. And the reason is, another reason is the multiple roles of women and girls. They be mothers, sisters, some of them earn money for the family, also raising the children, and lack of role models, mentors in this field. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes women fear to handle equipment, complicated equipment. Some lack of motivation, self-esteem, and encouragement from others. Girl achievement and interest in math and science are shaped by the society around them. A negative stereotype about girls and women ability in math and science persists despite girls and women considerable gains in this area in the last few decades. And bias, often unconscious, even unconscious, limits women progress in scientific and engineering field. So to summarize about obstacles to women in STEM, we have family pressure, feminine roles, and mistaken identity. For example, the women, especially in African American and Latina women working in STEM, they report being mistaken for custodial and administrative staff rather than being recognized as a scientist and engineer. And it's also in my self-care actually. Sometimes when I go somewhere, they don't think I am a scientist actually. This is Mae Jessens, one of the first Black female astronaut traveling space in 2007. She's amazing. And she said that sometimes parents squash student interest because they are afraid of science and math. So they don't participate. You don't have to know the answer to engage kids. You just have to let them know it is important. So we need to dream big, right? we're talking about fact and figure before, and there is a fact that we have to admit that women tend to move to higher paying STEM careers during their career. And the percentage of women participating in STEM is culturally depend on religious belief as well, depend on the country, on the culture. And women, different from men, women also tend to leave STEM jobs after a while. Another thing we want to mention here is in the world, there's only 60% of leaders and managers in information technology industry are women. So among them, only 3% of women hold CEO position and 20% of CFOs finance. So as you can see, we don't have many women working in STEM field. And of course, that also lead to a really minimum numbers of students leading in this field. So what is the actually roles of women in STEM? We firmly believe that the world needs science and science needs women, because women in science have the power to change the world. This is said by a president of L'Oreal Americas. And the history is showing that in the STEM field, this is actually crucial sustainable development as they enable us to find solutions to threats posed by global challenges such as climate change, global health epidemics, and increasing income inequality. So the reason the data showing that increasing the participation of women in STEM will have a strong positive GDP impact. This is you see how the GDP increased together with the increasing number of students working in STEM. And closing the gender gap in STEM related to will contribute to an increase in GDP. And the data on the figure, you can see that the increase in GDP per capita by 2% to 3% in 2050. So closing gender gap in STEM education would have positive impact on employment as well. The new jobs are likely to be highly productive because of women graduating STEM often progress it into high value added position in sectors such as information and communication or financial and business service. So higher productivity of STEM jobs is likely to result into higher wages. Remarkably, the studies show closure the gender gaps by 2050 that I showed you before. Some promising STEM gender gap solution. How can we motivate women to participate in this field? After a lot of bias, a lot of reason that hinders women from STEMs. So I think this is from the scientists showing that there will be like promising solution belong to the real groups. The first group about the skill preparation related to education and training. So we create a STEM-based classroom projects for students at a young age, and we targeted outreach at all grade level from K to 12. We don't wait until they grade 9 or grade 10 to introduce STEM. So at our school, because I am the principal of a school system in Vietnam, and we create STEM classroom from K1, from kindergarten. And we provide hands-on experience. We improve STEM integration and support for girls starting at early education and through K-12. And the second groups will be about the encouragement, dismounting gender stereotype. We show them more female roles model, and we create more private grants and fellowship and encourage a growth mindset for women. Generated excitement in this field. And as I told you before, we're talking about a lot about the extracting women into STEM field, but the problem here is to keep them there. So the third solution will be about supporting environment. So we improve the job hiring, retention and promotion pathway and intentionally inclusive cultures. We try to attract, recruit, and retain women in the STEM majors and field in college and university by closing the gender gap. And we really need encouragement from the family, empathy from the family as well. So this is an image showing the creating an enabling environment. So equitable, not treating everyone the same, but creating an environment which allows everyone to give of their best. So I really like this quote actually from Zaha Hadid, international renowned architect. And she said that, this is how I think as well, that I used to not like being called a woman's architect. I am an architect, not just a woman architect. So for me, I want to be recognized as a skilled person rather than a skilled as a woman scientist. I rather be called a scientist. So it's actually everything I want to mention this afternoon, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our keynote speaker for that presentation. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we've just had Professor Hong for the lovely speech on her closing the gender gap in STEM, and earlier with Dr. Setiawati Yani on the women engineering education in Eastern Indonesia, opportunities and challenges. So there is some variation of topics there. Once again, thank you both to our keynote speakers. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now welcome the presentation of papers. I'll now hand off the floor to Engineer Sri Hildayati, FPI Persatuan Insinyur Indonesia, PII, to introduce the speakers and moderate the session. A kind reminder to please mute your audio at all times unless prompted. A 15-minute Q&A is available for this panel session. You are more than welcome to submit your questions or remarks via the chat box or share your reactions via the function. So very exciting from having a presentation of keynotes to presentation of papers and a Q&A session at the end of this session. It'll be from 3 o'clock Brunei time to 4. So there's about 60 minutes. So the 15-minute Q&A will be about 3:45 p.m. Brunei time. Now, just want to check Engineer Sri Hildayati. Are you in the room?
Hello, can you hear me
Hi.
clearly?
Yes, I can
Hi,
hear you
Fadli.
very well. Yes, I'll let
Hi.
you take over the session. Please introduce the speakers and enjoy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, hello, ladies. I'm super excited to be here today. So excited about our presentation and conversation that we are going to have today. Now, before we begin, let me remind you of two things. First, our today's session, I think, will not be recording by the host, so don't worry. This will be a safe platform for us to share our thought or give insight or discussion on the topic. So even though it is recording, that's fine. It is still a safe platform for us. The second one, the Q&A session will be provided after all presentation done. So please be patient. If you have any question of a certain presentation, you still can write your question in the chat box. I think, Fadli, it is open for all the participants, right?
Yes, definitely. We really do encourage everyone to interact on the chat box. It's easy for our moderators to collect questions for this session.
Yes, good then. So, but all questions will still be discussed during the Q&A session. Well, without further ado, joining us today are 4 superwomen, and they're amazing visionary. I will not introduce one or all of them together in once, but let's start one by one. Why I say this is amazing? Because I mean it. You'll find from their presentation later. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our next speaker is a distinguished academia who is expert in automotive component manufacture and loyal to her specialist until now. She has many research in automotive manufacture. And when she took her PhD, she decided to stay in this area. Apart from that field, she also has interest in manufacturing and industrial sustainability, economic circular, healthcare, technopreneurship, renewable energy, small medium enterprise, and environmental and education capacity. So many interests, right? She has been collaborating with many institutions and organizations in this field. However, her social attribute to others is unquestionable. Active in social and community services, supporting SME industry, empowering people in agricultural and agribusiness through education are part of her life. Today, instead of talking about the beauty of her life journey and achievement, she preferred to elevate others women achievement. So let's talk about women, support women. Here to share her takes on the accomplishment of other distinguished women, please welcome Dr. Tina Gustinar Amran of Indonesia.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for moderator, Rihadiati. And
thank you.
Let me introduce myself to all participants for Women Summit CAFEO39. My name is Tina Gustinar Amran. I'm from Women Engineer Indonesia, SPI, PII. I'm happy to meet you in this forum. I would like today to share a little bit on story from our industrial engineering background regarding to achievement of women engineers and sustainable development. So this is the agenda. The industrial engineering has its roots in the Industrial Revolution in the mid-18th to early 19th century, as production shifted from small enterprise to large-scale factories, and the production of goods became increasingly mechanized and specialized. Factory owners realized that improving the efficiency of this new production process could reduce waste and increase productivity. This is our woman engineer. For the first in industrial engineering is Gilbert. Is one of the first women engineers to earn a PhD in psychology. But then she worked in industrial engineering. She worked for many years applying industrial engineering concepts such as time and motion studies to improve work process. First with her husband and 11 children, and hold on for many years after his death. He worked emphasized a human approach to scientific management. During her career, Gilbert published numerous books and papers, and some with her husband and some with her own. His predecessor is the father of industrial engineering, so Gilbert is surely the mother of industrial engineering. Gilbert is the first lady of management and first of engineering, and she is the professor and the first of industrial engineering. From the beginning, nearly 100 years ago, it is wonderful to see the entire column of work by women industrial engineers. Since those early days, industrial engineering has of course changed, and this is reflected of this volume. One focus on factory control, industrial engineering now focus more broadly on both manufacturing and statistics. One focus on techniques such as time and motion study and Gantt industrial engineering now include a wide range of modern computational and analytical techniques. So I would like to introduce one of our lady now, or he is a professor, and he is focused on the motion and time study. This is industrial engineering system. Yeah, so we have concern with design, installation, and improvement of integrated system of people, material, information, equipment, and energy by drawing upon specialized knowledge and skill in the mathematical, physical, social science, together with the principle and method of engineering analysis and design to specify, predict, and evaluate the results to be obtained from such system. This is the principle of industrial engineering. So I would like to introduce Prof. Susi Sumartini. Yes. She is a professor in industrial engineering, and her contribution from the this one for the all the posture control incident specific. In this case, for the motion and test study engineering. And the second I have in this Engineer Indiati. She is very concerned with the sustainable development for the farmer in the one place in the mid of Java. Prof. Susi in this cycle is empowering of people with disabilities through human factor engineering based on assistive product design and a supportive institution. She is concerned for the Indonesian disabled community. The disabled community hold a great potential. Most of them are in their productive state and can be development subject instead of object. So in the Indonesian disabled community, and number of the community with disability is about 20% of the total population, and 20% are absorbed in the work of work. In general, the disabilities are under the development care. Cost of disabilities other than the defects is the number of traffic accidents is higher, and 30% of the term result in serious injury with the potential for human disability. High work accident rate with more than 400 cases per day, and 50 more natural disaster and diabetes mellitus and leprosy and senior citizens. This is the number of persons killed and injured due to the traffic accident. So, concern to empower in disabled community, acceptance rate in the industry are relatively low. A number of disability community who eventually can enter the internet sector were given manual and or small roles such as janitor and night guard. Wages given to disabled community members are lower due to the lower qualification. So the industry did not prepare a work system that can support the work productivity of people with disabilities to get close to the cost of normal people, and rehabilitation technology or assistive devices to people with disability are difficult to access and are mostly imported to unaffordable. What you see, disabled people cannot work properly. So that's why human factor problem is empowering disability. So we have the comfort lighting, high quality, this one, and self-helmet protective shield or stamper, protective coat, safety shield for blackboard and highly visible factor, and protective vision, biocompatible bone plant, protective hand safety glove, adjustive ergonomic handle and warning sign, and protective leg, hip, knee, saying, ankle foot. This is the human factor industrial engineering, how to save people in work. And then Prof.C, so they have design direction to rehabilitation for person with disability by this university. They have the wheelchair with low cost and full functional. This is the innovative. Separate freedom chair with technical, feasible, ergonomic, saving energy, economical, social, cost effective, and environmental friendly and trendy. And then also contribution in research in empowering a disability, emphasis of assisted rehabilitation technology, orientation to subjects, people with abilities, tech-land low cost and functional and low cost and anthropometric and strategic for mastering basic knowledge with accelerated innovation. And this is all the equipment and the research, and also they do some equipment for the disability. For example, this IDOF to what and join the energy storing component by endocrine aspect processes, body axis and multi-axis ankle joint for aspect processes, and we have also conducted studies in near ankle process research and design. Then they also have like bioinstrumentation and biometric flexibility studies, dynamic and static studies, and amputee in the laboratory. And design and anchor join the double component with the energy storing system. This is the strategic research for disabled, and design anchor join multi-axis component energy storing next year the strategic national research. And also this join two bar component energy storing system. They develop the equipment for the disabled, yeah, is join with the kit and energy storing type is here. And then join the Renoid with 6 bar component with energy storing system. Is developed again to join 6 bar component. Then with kinematic design in low cost automatic process ticket. Then they develop to the low cost automatic process ticket. So we can know this conceptual is a low cost automatic process with 3 dependent systems that allow them and perform 5 or 6 basic blasting movement. Then they also continue the research for alignment for processing food with the ability of 5-axis correction. Is improvement of gate analysis below knee amplitude using alignment of data for processing food based on static and biomechanism. Then with knee ankle foot autopsy, this is the propellant material from the propellant material. Yeah, it's design analysis of lightweight couple protected biomaterial for polysynthesis special. This is multi-speed wheelchair to create a multi-speed chair and efficient technology in worker wheelchair. And this is tailored special frames for this is the children. Yeah. Then they take many years to do this research until the bone is put properly. Then design the channel compact microelectric module based on Arduino and low cost informatic processing. And then also they have a design 2-channel compact microchip module based on Arduino, standard and low cost. And this is the research of BCC, and I continue with Bu Nur, this Professor Nur Indrawati for her achievement. Yes. For the people, yeah, and the farmer. In the Giri Purono, this 10 km from Borobudur temple, they have the main livestock and the villages and the rest agriculture and livestock. One of the growing agriculture activities in Thailand is Etawa, goat farming. Currently, there are 6 Etawa goat farming groups in here, but there are only 2 groups, the organized and active named Poktan, Kalimakmur, and Bija. So this is the Etawa, the most popular type of goat and maintained ethically in India and Southeast Asia, adapted in the population habitats of Indonesia, and it's known as a crossbreed Etawa and the popular among farmers particularly in Java. So what is the Etawa produce extract to develop business and supplying for goat milk with dairy product manufactured on other basis and product dairy product such as power and milk landscape using of conventional technology. This is the product market for the product in Africa, but the business is not optimized yet. So this is the benefit of the pea goat milk, and this is a factor influencing the quality of goat milk. But the problem is, yes, this is the product aspect like of property good cultivation, not standardized process, cognitive packaging costing, not assurance of product quality, limited process technology, and business management aspect, lack of integrated business activities, especially the cosmetic sales of company is that is individual by the member of the group, lack of cooperation within the group, no registration brand product, and optimal market strategies, and not accounting of equity. So then this program increase productivity of the farming group. The principal implement is resource-based development to increase and human resource management and technology. This is what they have done is to training for all the women at home and the farmer in Etawa, and then they produce the ice cream. And the ice cream now produced and market in the Mid Java. Yes? Very famous. Yeah? This is the program. The program is done successfully. Program outcome is ice cream. This is the core product of the group, and the nursery the bread. It is in the restaurant in the intellectual property. This is ice cream processing standard and organized by the nursery committee member and the of group. And then we have the market. Yeah. Achievement spirit in good as farming, increase knowledge and skills of farming, increase for the productivity and increase income, we increase quality of milk and increase the revenue as more as produce and sold, and increase member unity at the internal within the group and within the group because it increase business agreement. So I think that finish. So yes, thank you very much for attention. I am happy to answer any question and discussion with you. Thank you, moderator. Sorry, it takes time. 15 minutes or more than 15 minutes.
That's okay. Ibu Tina, it's Dr. Tina is very interesting, Ibu Tina, and learning about the achievement of Professor Susi Sumartini, which very touching and empowering the people with disability. I believe that this is not only useful for Indonesian disabled people, it may be also having potential to be applied to disabled people from other countries too. Also with the initiative done by Associate Professor Nur Indriati, which improving the community welfare by utilizing the local potential. Very, very interesting, Ibu Tina. Thank you for sharing, Ibu Tina.
You're welcome.
Okay, I just would like to remind that if, ladies, if you have any question, please write up in the chat box. Okay, so let's move to the next speaker. So our next speaker is a process integration engineer who believes that science and engineering are enabler to make the world a better place for everyone. Very interesting. She's been involved in multiple technology transfer projects in many countries, and she's now leading a front-end strategic program team and overseeing transformative initiatives to achieve corporate business goal, which is a global leaders in semiconductor industry. So here to understand the beautiful as well as challenge of her life, please welcome Ms. Tan Geok Hong of Singapore.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, good. Hi, good afternoon to most of you. My name is Geok Hong. I'm from Micron Technology, who is a global leading producer of memory and storage devices. I'm the Vice President of Micron Finance Operations. I take care of strategic programs, as well as an engineering team who specialize in process and product integrations. I'm honored today to meet with all of you virtually from many different countries to share my story and also hear the story and some of the perspective from you. I'll be sharing about myself and also some of the things that I hear from the people surrounding me. So let me begin. I would like to start with my childhood time. Okay, I born in a small town in Malaysia. Its name is Muar. Those of you from Malaysia will probably heard about it. So when I was about 5 years old, my parents moved from Muar to Johor Bahru, and Johor Bahru is about within an hour drive to Singapore. And this picture on the left is actually where I stayed when I was a kid. So my father is a temporary direct labor, so he drew, daily salary. So when there's a big cargo ship arrive at Singapore, and then they need an extra manpower, he will receive a call from his boss and ask him to ride his motorcycles from Johor Bahru to Singapore for the day work. So my mom worked as a night shift operator in Panasonic Electrics, and she usually set off for work at about 5 p.m. because it's a night shift. So both of them travel back and forth from Johor Bahru to Singapore in a daily basis. And therefore, most of the time when we woke up from bed, both of them are not at home. So I have two elder sisters, as you can see from this picture, and they are twins. And I have a younger sister who is 2 years old, younger than me. And yes, it's 4 girls. So one of the most frequent questions that my mom got was, "Oh, you have 4 daughters. Will you intend to try for another boys?" So you can see that we are from a very traditional society who believe that, boy is the one that will carry the surname to the next generation, next generations. And because of the surname, they will be the one that who take care of the parents when they age. So in Chinese, they call it 传宗接代. And with that, it's actually have a follow-up questions that extended from this, which is, since it's girls, right, it's daughters, they don't need to study so much. Anyway, they will be married to someone else and take care of the family. So although my parents was not very highly educated, in fact, in my memory, I hardly remember they ever asked me about my academic results. But I'm very grateful that both of them have never give out educations on us. So when I was a primary 6, my mom bought me my first computers. I asked for it. I really, kind of like begged her to give me a computers. And now I look back, it's probably cost her maybe like 1 month of her check, her salaries to get this for me. It's a simple computers that you can do, some typings and simple computer games on it. And this is really the first electronics device that I have and stir my interest on electronic stuff. So I start to, assemble the electronic device. I even earn a small dollars of money by helping people to repair their computers. And I like to mix around with boys. I'm very active in the school. I'm a school representative of, basketball, badminton, chess, debate team. I'm probably spending more time to do CCA compared to my study. And perhaps it's a repellent effect. I never think that I'm inferior compared to boy. So in secondary school, at least the one that I'm in, usually the students who do better in terms of academic result will choose a science stream. So very naturally, I got into a science class. And after I graduated from all levels, I decided to pursue a diploma in electricals and electronics engineering in Singapore, and followed by a degree in Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. So if I were to look back my journey, there are many traditional thinking as well as culture that pre-exists. So if my parents were to follow the norm, perhaps I would have quit study after my all levels. In fact, during that time, the economy was not good and my mom was retrenched. And if she were to choose an easy way, she could have asked me to go to look for a job. Maybe I can earn probably like Sing dollars, $1,000 to contribute to the families. But she did not, right? So I would say, if I were to leverage the earlier speakers and also my journey, I would say the stereotype actually exists everywhere. So the question is, who should be the one that break the stereotypes? It actually start from us. It starts with us. And my mom is one of them. And I'm probably innocently breaking it as well. And I believe that this is how the world behaves. It will never change until we ourselves change our mind, change our behavior, and therefore it's really start with us. We decide our future, and you decide your future. So I finished my degree with a top 5% in the cohort. And most of my peers who are in the top 5% are men. So with a pretty decent results, I got into a good company. The name is Tech Semiconductor in Singapore, which is now known as Micron Fab 10W. And I started off as a process integration engineer. My job is basically to solve problems. So in a semiconductor process, there are thousands of processes just to fabricate one chips that you use in your mobile phone, your computers, any kind of electronics device that you can probably think about it. And my job is to find the optimum process conditions by integrating all these different processes together so that we can achieve a best yield, best quality with most cost-effective manners. So when we started off as an engineer, there's training programs tied to it. We were attached to process areas to learn about equipment maintenance. And I was attached to this module called diffusion. Diffusion is basically a process that to anneal the crystal defects after ion implantations, or to introduce dopants atoms into the silicons from a chemical waiver source. So I attached to this very experienced technicians who is very kind. He taught me lots of things and he took care of me. There was one time that, we need to do physical preventive maintenance, just like the pictures that you see from here, where we need to go inside to handle the machine. And the machine that doing the diffusion process is called furnace, which you can imagine is like a big oven, a big giant oven. And the cords and tube inside the furnace is very heavy. So I was trying to move the cords and tubes out from the furnace because we need to, this is the usual things to do for every single preventive maintenance. But the technician stopped me, he said, no, don't do that. This is not for girl. You shouldn't do it. So at the point of time, I really not convinced. I believe that I'm pretty strong and I'm physically active. I'm pretty big size as well. Why would he stopping me on this? However, should I blame him for his good intention? I think this relates to the unconscious bias that a previous speaker was talking about. So it is true that conscious and unconscious bias happening surrounding us every day at the workplace. That is where we believe that the educations on the diversity, equality, and inclusion is important. And we advocate the importance of allyship in Micron as well. Not long ago, our Taiwan team, Micron Taiwan team, was celebrating one key milestone in Taiwan because we hired our first equipment women engineers. So some of you maybe wonder, what's so big deal about it, right? I remember a few years ago, I gave a speech to National Taiwan University, which is a top university in Taiwan. My audience was electrical and electronic students. In the lecture hall, it probably has about 100 students. But less than 10 are women. So I gave the student a chance to ask me questions towards the end of the presentations, and all the questions were from men. We ended the call, and when I was about to leave the lecture hall, there was about 5 women students that came forward to me, and they asked me 2 questions. Of course, I wondered that why don't they ask, when I give them a chance to ask questions, but probably they are shy about it. But that's okay. So the first question from them was, does Micron hire women engineers? And the second question was, okay, your company hire women engineers, but will it limit our opportunity because, women engineer may need to take leave or maternity leave or take care of the family? So from these 2 questions, it really helped me to understand how much gaps and how much opportunity that we have in these areas. And it also helped us to see that there's so much boundary and concern from women in their career choice, right? And that's a reason why hiring in the women engineers into our equipment team in Taiwan is indeed a big deal for us. Sometimes women give out STEM not because of capability, but because of the norm or society judgment. Sometimes women give out opportunity of promotion, not because of capability, but because they feel like, they will never be good enough compared to the men. And sometimes women give up opportunity for advancement, again, not because of capability, but because of their concerns of they may need to take care of the family, or someone expect them to be the only one to take care of the family. I see many real examples and sharing from my engineers, my colleagues. So maybe one day, I believe there are students here, when some of you step into the industry, you will face the same situations, some judgment from others, and you may have dilemma. But the questions that I would like you to bring back and ask yourself is that, are you limit yourself? And if you are not afraid, what will you do? So do not easily give out the opportunity. Do not be overly bounded by the judgment from others. Follow your heart, follow your passion, believe on yourself. I believe you will be successful one way or another. And for me, I'm lucky. Apart from my mom, I'm fortunate to have mentors who believe in DEI. In tech semiconductors, at least from my perspective, I feel like we have an equal opportunity on promotion. And I learned about meritocracy in Microns. And we believe that the best idea, best talent wins. It's not about gender. So this also leads me to believe that I have a mission to support others as well, which is why I'm here. Right? This is my family. I'm a wife, mother, a daughter, a sister. Yes, I'm wearing many hats like many of you. So maybe some of you think that, oh, since I'm able to sit here talking to you, share my story, my life could be easy or ideal. But that's actually not true. However, I enjoy the journey, and I believe that these challenges are the ones that are making me stronger, and I continue to learn from it as well. So I do have friends that quit job because they think that's the only solutions. But what I can share with you is that quit or give up is not the only way. You have families, you have teams, you have friends, you have community, and you have like this kind of, supporting communities to share with us, to share the tips, the challenges and some of the solutions. So you are certainly not alone. I have a boy and a girl. They are 5 and 2 years old. So I hope that I put in my efforts to build a world that is inclusive, a world that gives equal opportunity to everyone to do their best. And I believe that every one of us in this room has a role to play. So this is my story, and I'm looking forward for you to create yours as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tang Gyo Ho. It's very inspiring. Yeah, I take a note from your presentation that we decide our future. We who also set a limit to our potential that we have, right? So then, yes, transformation involved in your life will be very good lesson learned to others. I think for many girls and women, and it is very inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. So before we move to the third speaker or presenter, so I'll give you a good shot. So please, everyone, post your favorite emoji right now in the chat book. So then just a quick click. So then, okay, let's do that and then get in touch then. Okay. Let's move to the third presenter. Our next speaker is a devoted science engineer who kept loyal to his engineering major until her PhD. She's also a woman ICT engineer recipient. He's also a women ICT engineer award recipient of her country government. Apart from that, she's also a recipient of a couple awards from other countries. She's involved in artificial intelligence, has led her to her current journey. She has been involved in multiple interesting AI implementation projects in various sectors, from health science to automotive industry, from risk management for natural disaster to satellite image processing. Very inspiring. So here to share her takes on how AI could contribute to other aspects of our life that you'll find very interesting. Please welcome Dr. Sophie of Cambodia.
Okay, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you get my slide on the share screen?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you so much for having me in this awesome event. Okay, so my topic today will be on the future of technology for women and micro business in Cambodia. But however, before starting to this topic, I just want to share a little bit about my story. So I was born in Cambodia and grew up in Cambodia, more specifically or at south of Phnom Penh, next to Vietnam border. So it's a countryside area. And before I finished my high school, actually I lived my life at 3 places, either at school, at rice field, or our family farm, or local market. So why I go to local market? Because in order to support our family and our education, so we are, as a kid, I also need to do some work to help my family. So it happens sometimes that I need to wake up early in the morning, like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. to go and retrieve our own vegetable and bring it to the local market. So I need to sell it off before I go to high school, which is next to the local market. So this is how I grew up until high school, and through education, actually, my life has changed further than what I expected. So in 2002, I moved to Phnom Penh to join an engineering university after high school. And I graduated from the school as an engineering degree in computer science in 2008. And later on, I get a scholarship to France to pursue my master's degree and PhD degree more into artificial intelligence research. And I graduated my PhD degree in 2013. I worked in France as a researcher and lecturer for about 3 years. And 2015, I get an offer from Malaysia. Those who are from Malaysia and Indonesia, you may know MIMOS. So I've been working in MIMOS for about 3 years as a research engineer. And then I moved to work in the private school, private university as a lecturer for about 2 years. So I stayed in Malaysia for 5 years. And then in 2020, I finally decided to come back to my own country after spending 12 years abroad. So I finally come back because I believe that I have a lot of things to do in Cambodia, and I can do a lot of things in my own country. So when I first come to Cambodia, I have been working as head of product in one of the fintech company. And lucky enough, we working for some project for our National Bank of Cambodia. And on 2021, so earlier this year, with 2 of my other friends, so we all women, 3 women, we team up together and we want to found a company by our own, because we see a lot of things to do and we want to do a lot of things. So that is the way that I think I want to make my journey a little bit different. So now we are operating our own company. So through all this personal experience as a kid who grown up in the countryside, who support my own study by selling off our own local product at local market, and now being someone who is working in the technology. So it kept me asking these questions. What is the future of technology for women and micro business in Cambodia? So that is the questions. Okay, so in order to elaborate to this topic, I will bring you 3 points. So first, I want to give a brief number of micro business and women in micro business in Cambodia. Then what is the technology adoptions and adaptations and challenge in our country? and how can we address these challenges? Okay, just a quick number. Based on a report released on 2020 by the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, we can see that in Cambodia, micro business and SME cover more than 90% of enterprise of the country. And that provide up to 70% of employment opportunity and more than 50% of annual GDP. And on another report, it's a little bit old, but I think it's still accurate enough. Released by the Cambodia Intercentral Economic Survey, we can see they have around 500,000 in enterprise established in Cambodia, and among that, more than 97% are micro business, and 2% is SME. So micro businesses really play a very important role in our country. So mean empower micro business also mean empower our economy. On the same report, we can highlight that 26% of women own SME and 62% of women own micro enterprise. But to me, if I observe from the actual life, this 62% it seems low to me, because if we're looking into our local market, our small business operate around the country are mostly operated and managed by women. Yeah, so to me, empower women is mean empower micro business, is mean empower our economy in the country. So now let's just go to the technology story. Okay, technology come in our life, whether we want it or not, from taking a selfie to a lot of other things like managing nation security. It's all the technology that we need to, that involved in our life. So because of COVID pandemic, it changed a lot our consumptions and purchase behavior. It's impact all around the world and also in Cambodia. So the thing is, in Cambodia, people turn to use the online method to sell and purchase whatever they need in the daily life. But the thing is, in Cambodia, we mostly use Facebook and Telegram to operate this online shopping activity. And we do have some local e-commerce and marketplace platform. Okay, but with all this technology, it doesn't reach widely to our people and our user. It still have a big gaps. It still have a big gap between our local suppliers and producer and consumer. So as personally, now I am a consumer, I'm no longer a producer, I'm a consumer. It's hard for me to find a local product, or I need to pay very expensive. And for our local supplier and producer, it's hard to find market, or they need to sell it off very cheap. So this problem can be solved if we can get closer between local supplier and consumer. So the question now is, how can we use technology to reduce or even remove, if possible, these gaps? So to answer to these questions, I would like to elaborate these 4 pillars to operate an e-commerce platform. I will start by the second pillar because I want to keep the base for last. Okay, of course, when we want to operate an e-commerce platform, we need an e-commerce platform. Yes. The third pillar is the fintech solutions that will open the online payment bridge. So now I can see they have a lot of hard working done by a lot of banks in Cambodia and also the National Bank of Cambodia. So I think for the third pillar, to me, it's not the concern, it's growing and moving very fast. It will come up strong. The fourth pillar, of course, it will be the logistics and delivery. And this also, to me, is not a big concern because we can see there are a lot of growing of private sector and company who come up with the logistic and delivery solutions. So to me, the most concern is the first pillar, which is not the technology itself, but is the user knowledge and ability to adopt and adapt with the technology. So that is the question. So since the second pillar, which is e-commerce platform, play the role as the interface to everything happen behind, and user is at front line. So this first and second pillar to me is the most important, and that's what I want to elaborate a little bit more. Okay, the challenge is now is the difficulty to adapt and adopt the technology. So that is the reason why there still have a gaps between consumer and producer. So how, the question now is how we going to push this together? So I mean, how to help our people to be able to adopt and adapt to the technology. So the first solutions that we can think of is, yeah, just give them more support and training to the users so they can use technology to operate their business. Yes, that can be the solutions. And the second solutions as an engineer and software engineer is to design an e-commerce platform which is friendly interface. Friendly interface means it's going to be very easy to use and everyone can use it. But the question is, how friendly that we can say is friendly enough for Cambodian user? So that is the question. To answer to these questions, we think about two more questions. So the first one is, what is Cambodia literacy rate? So literacy rate means our ability to read and write from our populations. The second question is more concerned to Cambodian technology literacy rate. So it means what is our ability to use and access to technology. These two important questions is important, but I don't want to focus on this for today because recently I saw this report released by Facebook, and with this number is really eye-opening for me. That Facebook say 50% of Facebook Messenger total voice traffic came from Cambodia. So that means we flooding Facebook platform for voice. The question is why? Why Cambodian people like to talk instead of typing? Actually, based on the study, it has less to do with Cambodia literacy or technology literacy, but it's more on the complexity of the keyboard for our language, because our language contains more than 100 characters. And sometimes in order to type one character, we need two hands with maybe 3 fingers from each hand to reach one character. So that is not convenient. Asking a user to post and sell their product on an online platform by filling all this form, I think it's just catastrophe. It won't happen. So in Cambodia, we need something which is more friendly, which is much more easy to use. So as a person who works in AI, so I'm thinking about the AI solutions. So what if we can come up with an online platform with only 2 steps? Where the first step, user can just snap on picture on the product that they want to sell, and the AI system can automatically detect and recognize what are the objects that they want to sell without typing a word. And then they just come up with their microphone and describe what are the conditions, what are their selling condition, price, and everything. And so the AI system will be able to do automate transcriptions, speak to text technically, and translate to the e-commerce platform. So that to me is the user-friendly interface that we need in Cambodia. But then comes the challenge. If we talk about the previous solution, which is automate image recognition, is actually a global problem with a global solution. So we have a lot of existing solutions that we can use and kickstart for this kind of solution. However, Cambodia, we have our own speech, we have our own language. So speech recognition in Cambodian language is not a global solution, so we don't have a global solution. So to tackle this problem, we as engineer, researcher in Cambodia need to come together and find and design solution for this kind of problem. They have a lot of research ground and initiative in Cambodia, and hopefully we come up with with some good solution very soon. Yes, so to conclude my speech, what is the future of technology for women and micro business in Cambodia? So first, looking into the fintech solutions is growing and it's growing fast. They have a lot of effort made by finance institutions as well as our national bank. A lot of logistic company delivery is growing, but to me, what I personally want to draw the highlight is the e-commerce platform. It's growing somehow, but it's not yet reached our large population because of this technology barrier challenge. So yeah, thank you so much. This can be like a very short presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sophie From. Very interesting one. So I'm interested to know that in knowing that the way to overcoming the keyboard issue in Cambodia. So yeah, the fact that EI could be implemented in many aspects of our life is very interesting. So then looking forward for the next initiative or innovation from the Cambodia side and of course from you and others distinguished women. Thank you. Well, before we move to the next speaker, thank you so much for all the participants for the emojis. So it is very interesting to see that we still keep in touch in this, well, for sure listening to our speakers. So please please write up your question or any appreciation or any comment into the chat box. Keep doing that, please. And we move to the last but not least speaker. For sure.
Just an announcement to Sri Hidayati for this session. You have about 8 minutes left, yeah? But I seek advice from Madam Chair or how we can proceed if we have time for the question and answer. Otherwise, we'll do it offline. Just a reminder, we have about 8 minutes left. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Fadli. So our next speaker is a researcher cum a lecturer who is an expert in multiple sectors of civil engineering. So she's also the recipient of a special international award for innovation. Apart from her achievement in her expertise, equal opportunity in the professional life is one of her concerns. So she initiated a culture change in her country, which could be considered as her contribution to get solution for this issue. Here, to understand further on her takes on this issue, please welcome Associate Professor Dr. Uruya Visakul of Thailand.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Clearly and sound?
Okay, I will share my screen.
Yes, please.
So can you see, I go to the top. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, so good afternoon again, everyone. So it's a pleasure for me today to tell our untold story at my Faculty of Engineering, Thammasat University, as a former dean of this faculty. But now today, I'm working as a lecturer in this faculty. My story will tell you how we can nurture diverse talent in engineering profession by women engineers. So, as you know that an engineering firm is the place with few of women engineers. So, today's world statistics reveal that girls only make up 20% of undergraduate engineering students, even though more girls progress into higher education than boys. So, even if women engineers do enter the industry, it's hard to keep them in the profession in the long term. Based on the research by the Royal Academy of Engineering in UK, 57% of female engineers drop off the register of professional engineers before the age of 45, compared with just 17% of male engineers. So we know all of this problem, right? Another discouraging issue is that there are not many women in leadership positions. This paints a picture that women in engineering professions are not able to make it. The lack of representation at more senior levels mean that no role model to follow for women in junior positions. So, realizing such situation, and we try to create a change in Thai engineering culture. First investigation on responses of employers of our graduates revealed that our engineers, ours mean Thammasat University, okay. Our engineers are lacking of soft skills such as management and communication, so that we develop our new curriculum by adding 3 more subjects: finance and entrepreneurship, engineering project management, and communication and presentation techniques. So we found that the weakest point of our graduates are communication and presentation techniques concerning ability to write technical report, ability to describe, summarize, and express their work efficiently, and ability to present their projects and to make their work more attractive and promising. So that we launched our new curriculum in 2009 and then monitor performance of our graduates by questionnaire and interview the employers every year. And we found that more satisfactory level from employers are obtained. So this is just to present you some statistics on women engineers and female engineering students in Thailand. We can see that percentage of women engineers in Thailand ranges approximately from 15% to 20%. This is the statistics of the last 10 years from 2010 to 2020. This is example of statistics of female students in Chulalongkorn University, which is a representative faculty of engineering in Thailand. We can see that percentage of female students ranges approximately from 15% to 25%. And then comparing percentage of female students in our faculty of engineering, Thammasat University, with Chulalongkorn universities, we can see that our faculty is quite popular for female students. It's interesting, right? So this is just to show you that percentage of female students in Faculty of Engineering, Chulalongkorn University is compatible with statistics of percentage of women engineers in Thailand. This means that increasing number of female engineering students in Thammasat University is still minority in engineering community in Thailand. However, we can create a small change in engineering culture, enhancing soft skill for engineering students, which is more preferable for female than male students, provide more satisfactory for employers. It is no doubt that when problems are solved by people of one gender and also come from similar socioeconomic and geographic backgrounds, the solutions are not likely to consider all aspects of the problems. So, looking at engineering professions, diversity play an important role for problem solving and also for better creative productions. So that it has been already proved by Harvard Business Review that both gender and racial diversity improve the financial performance of the company. So I finished my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uruya, Professor Uruya Wikaso. Very interesting. So then the Thammasat University, I'm sure it is one of the favorite university in Thailand. Yes, enhancing soft skill to women students in your university will be very useful for those girls to enter into the professional life. So thank you for your initiative and contribution on this field.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, I see that number of participants actually also from the other genders. Then, thank you for this session. So all the presentation has been done. If you let's see if we have any question from the audience before we move to the other section of the summit. I saw a lot of emoji here, and let me read comment from Mary Ann to Ms. Tan. Thank you, Ms. Tanji, for sharing that inspiring experience. Also from Jasmine Fu, I love your inspiring story, Ms. Tan Kiok Hong. It's very heartening to hear of your success and equal opportunities in Micron. And yeah, I think we haven't got any question here, but probably later on we can do offline. So once again, thank you so much for all the speakers. It's very interesting. All stories are inspiring for us, and I just would like to give a wrap up on all the presentation. So basically, determination is a must for us, the women, knowing that we are still a minority in the male-dominated industry. But then also we have to respect ourselves, which is we have to set the limit of our potential that like Ms. Tan mentioned in her presentation. And also I think we also have to trust ourselves and evolve even among the hard challenge that we have or we face from traditional values, from any gender issue, or from any preset social value about women and men in social life. So yeah, a lot of things that we have, we can learn speaker today. We got another moderator today. Okay, so I think I would like to, with the wrap up today's, I would like to close the paper presentation of a Women's Summit CAFEO39 today's, and will be forwarded this to the next moderator, which is Engineer Rosnida Taib, for the talk show.
Thank you so much, Engineer Sri Hidayati, and Mini Engineer that's with you. Thank you so much, as well to our esteemed speakers for the delivery of paper presentation. We've just had that for about an hour. Before we do hold the forum, Madam Chair has asked me to inform that we will have a quick break for about, I think, 3 to 5 minutes. A young woman engineer indeed. So we will have a quick break. We'll have everyone to come back at about 4:10, Madam Chair, if that's okay. And for the next forum discussion, we'll be introducing our next moderator who'll be hosting a lovely forum talk show quite in a bit. So please don't go too far. Please have a nice, good restroom break. Unfortunately, maybe a quick tea might be a bit too tight for you, but please do have something to refresh for one last hour. And then some lovely remarks from Madam Chair before we conclude today's summit, a lovely summit this year with CAFEO. We'll see you soon. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
5 o'clock. Bye.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the next forum discussion. I hope everyone has had a good, quick refresh from today's long program. But now let me welcome a forum discussion entitled The Untold Stories of Women in STEM. The format for this forum consists of opening remarks from each speaker, followed by questions. So we do encourage a live interaction between the audience and the speakers. Once again, you are more than welcome to submit your questions, remarks via chat box or share your reactions via the function throughout the session. Although I do hear some background noises, so if you are not a speaker, could you mute your microphone for this session so that we can have a nice session throughout. Also, we will have the attendance form reshared so all tech people will be doing that in a bit. So it's my pleasure to introduce Engineer Rusnida Talib, IAM from Malaysia. Lovely. So I'll let Miss Rusnida to take over the session. The session will be from 4:11 p.m. I think we'll have it up till 5 p.m. I think so. Yeah, Madam Chair. So Madam Rusnida, please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, our MC, Encik Fadli. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I hope you have a good coffee break just now after from 2 p.m. We haven't take a break. Okay, I am Engineer Rusnida from IEM Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, sorry. Okay, today I will be a moderator for our next final slot, that is a forum in the Women's Summit in conjunction with CAFEO39. Okay. We will be chatting with our distinguished panelists. We will make this slot as casual as possible, okay? Okay, for a start, as I mentioned earlier by our MC, we always heard this quotation, this quote, no? Behind every great man is a great woman, right? Okay, another one is a man's success has a lot to do with the kind of woman he choose to have in his life. True, is it? Because I think we still have gentlemen here. So, what about women? So, how often do we hear that a quote about a woman successful? Anyone? From what I have found in the Google, so it goes like this: behind every successful woman is herself. Oh my, is it true? Do we agree with that? Okay, but I found this quite sweet too. Behind most successful woman is a man too, her father. I think we agree that, right? Okay, so today we are going to hear from our panelists who is behind who. Okay, this is what we are going to explore from our panelists, the untold stories of women, of the success stories of women in STEM. So, without further ado, let's start with, okay, we have here today Engineer Alice Lim from Puja, Brunei. Welcome, Engineer Alice Lim. And we have also Engineer Nur Faiza from IEM Malaysia. And last but not least, we have Dr. May Rose from PTC Philippines. Okay, let us welcome all these lovely ladies today. Okay, so before we go further, for a starter, let us begin with the very basic first question to our lovely panelists. Maybe perhaps Engineer Alice Lim to start first, to tell us briefly about yourself. Over to you, Engineer Alice.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and
thank
clear.
You, Ida. Okay, myself, I am a civil engineer by profession. So I've been working in the engineering built environment for the last many decades. So basically, I'm very inspired by magnificent buildings, magnificent structures and also how things work around us and how the world work around us. So for example, physics is the most basic for most modern technology and the tools and instruments that use in scientific, engineering and medical research. These are the things that fascinated me. So that's how I started to choose a career or university degree first in engineering, and continue to start my career in the built environment. So I can say also that my dad definitely was the one who inspired me, because he was an electrical technician. And my eldest brother went to universities for electrical engineering degree. And not too far away from my little house that I grew up was a car workshop, which was just around the corner. And I look at them, and I every time I would just pass by there. Even I go and I went there to borrow their phone, because they have office. There was no phone landline, not even technology stuff like mobile phone. So I borrowed landline telephone, and I look at how they repair cars and stuff like that. So I started to like to change car tires, check motor oils, and even do minor repairing of carpentry work at home. So that actually sparked the interest in STEM. So I was more into maths and physics and chemistry, not so much of biology, although I like that also. And I think I know myself is not an artistic person, so I cannot be an architect, even though I like to do sketches here and there. So I guess the best shot was civil engineering. And I remember I went to UK and I studied my A-level there. And then when my A-level result was out and I got into a universities, I got acceptance by the universities, and I told my parents over the phone. Those days we put in the 50 pence in the phone box, in the phone booth, the very famous London red phone booth. So I said I got admitted into university and I want to do civil engineering, BSc civil engineering. And my dad said, yeah, but the fees was like £3,600. 3,600 pounds. And that was like in the early 80s. So that we paused for a long time. And my dad said, so go ahead. And I finished my degree. I continued to do a master, and I realized that Brunei is a developing country, and that is where the opportunities and the chances and the challenging life where I can begin my career. So I stay here. I stay in Brunei for the past many years, 3 to 4 decades. And here I am. And I found it very interesting, and I have the opportunity to share with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Alice. So you are surrounded by the engineering environment. Okay, how about we hear from Engineer Nur Faiza? Over to you, Engineer Nur Faiza.
Okay. Hi. Good afternoon to all of you. I'm Nur Faiza from IEM Malaysia. Okay. A bit background of me. I think my experience will be not as much as Engineer Alice, I think, but just to let you know, actually, since I was young in school, okay, I live in KL, okay, somewhere in Kampung, Selangor, very near to KL, and my school, okay, my primary and secondary school was in KL, really in the city center, okay. So living in KL, upbringing, okay, so I always within my comfort zone, okay. So and then after my secondary school, I managed to continue, okay, having the offer to do diploma in civil engineering. So that is in way back in 2000. Okay, basically I'm the generation where I take myself, I am in between, okay, in between of the modern generation nowadays, okay, where you know they have the internet line everywhere. I am the transition and at the developing phase where I'm the kid of student who, you know, we learn using computer with the diskette. You know, you have to put in the 2 diskette, and then, you know, first exploring using the computer at the early stage at school. So I'm at that stage. Okay, so at first I think and during my school life, I think I have no really interest in whether it is science, it is technology, okay, not particularly my concern at that time. So it's just that what really happened, I just embarked in, you know, thinking of finishing my school life, okay, and then it's just that I think my the reason, okay, I have maths and science have always been the 2 of my favorite subject, okay, and now as a lecturer, okay, by profession, I am the lecturer in civil engineering. Having strong foundation in both subjects is essential to success in engineering, okay. So as a educator, I can see how important it is for primary and secondary school students to learn at the early stage so that when they apply for higher education, they'll be ready to do or to be success. Okay, so I was in the pure science stream in school, okay, joining class biology, physics and chemistry. So I follow the culture and the system set by the Malaysian government. Okay, so because we have you know, different stream, we even have art stream. So if your results permit you to enter the science stream, so at that time I did pure science stream. Okay, and then when I went to university, okay, so basically that's where I'm focusing on the civil engineering. So the school, in my opinion, the school environment and experience actually have cultivated the interest in the STEM field, okay, where I think school is where everything all began. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Faiza. Okay, so we have 2 civil engineering here with us today. Okay, how about Dr. May Rose? Okay, over to you, Dr. May.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. So can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Rusnida. Well, it's a story. We have our own stories, but for myself, it actually began during my childhood when I saw my parents were really struggling to have both ends meet just to send me to a good school. I would say life was really difficult. Life was really hard. And my parents did not have their degrees to start with. So eventually, but because of their skills and efforts, they were able to bring me to a good school. But really, if some of our previous speakers experience selling, and at the same time, like Alice, I heard her in a shop to do change oil and so on. I didn't have any change oil time, but I also experienced selling goods, whatever that I can help my parents. So those days were very hard, really. So I promised that day when I was in high school, I promised that day that I will be really different among my other classmates, because I was on an all-girls school, and back then in the 80s, you would know that girls are really encouraged to pursue fields in health, such as nursing, education, and business, and so on. But I do not have anything against these programs. This was the common to us back then. That made me really decide to choose the less traveled path of girls in the engineering field. So electronics engineering that time was so famous. So I took up my electronics engineering, and eventually I also finished another degree in electrical engineering. I pursued my master's degree and my PhD. I did also my scholarship in the University of New South Wales in Australia, and was sent later in my life to do, it was really something that I was really looking forward to have my own startup business. So probably it was more of I wouldn't say it's a luck, but probably it's the path. So I was sent also in the US to be trained in the entrepreneurship and technology for engineering. That paved my way to retire in the academe. So at age 52, I retired in the academe. I was with the academe for more than almost 30 years. This time I'm doing my startup businesses. So that is really something that I could probably share from the experience of the life that has been very hard, probably that really pushed me towards something different, because engineering back then was really different for girls. So I think that's how I started in STEM.
Okay, thank you, Dr. May. Okay, we can see now that our panelist today is from the main core of the engineering, that is a civil and electrical and electronic, right? Okay, the second question will be, what was the most challenging part of your college or university experience? I mean, how you struggle during your studies? Is there any a hard time during your studies? So anybody wants to start first? Maybe Dr. May?
Yeah, I can start first. Well, I can still remember back then, we had this certain project that we have to do. It's an audio amplifier design. And there are a lot of things that you have to really do, particularly in its enclosure. So one of the difficulty that I had back then was really to do, cut metals, saw something, and so on. These are all male job, but even though it's quite hard, I was so convinced that I can do it myself without the help of my male classmates. So, well, that was one of the experience. But the most fulfilling part of it is when my male classmates start copying from my work, and I was really quite thrilled with that, fulfilled, because they know that they get good answers if they would copy from me. But anyway, some of those experiences that I had also, but it's more of I would say the difficulty was more on projects that pertains to strength, a male strength in terms of how you cut and so on. But the rest is really quite, I would say it's equal. Okay. Challenges are, yeah.
Okay, how about you, Engineer Alice? What are the difficulties during your studies in the class? Maybe in the UK or in Brunei?
I think in Brunei, that's not a problem because I went to Chinese school, so in the community, which is in the smaller district. It's as far as studying in Brunei is not concerned, because we are small communities, and then it's very forgiving, it's very friendly. So we know each other. It's like brothers and sisters, so not a problem. And when I went to universities or college in UK and universities, I think, well, luckily I have my elder siblings who actually taught me English and the proper grammars and everything. So I can say myself in even though in a small kampung, my English is like a GCO level and Cambridge standard lah. Luckily I passed my GCO level. So I didn't have some people who face that culture shock, that cannot understand or cannot pick up the English accent. So I was quite lucky in that sense, that my brother had taught me through with proper English and proper manners, greetings, etc. So I think the culture shock is I could not find friends in university, ladies friends, because there's only like 2 of us in the whole class, in the whole faculties of civil engineering. So myself one, and the other lady is a English lady, and she was in the sandwich class. Sandwich course means the 3rd year she goes to the placement. So that would only be the obstacles, which I got to mix with the guys and girls from other faculty, but we could not discuss much because we need to have projects together. We can't. If she's in the computer science class, we can't do projects together. We can only go shopping maybe once a while. So yeah, I think that's the only challenge. And as far as project work is concerned, even go to the highland to do landfills survey, those days you have to start to use the geothorax and stuff like that. Weather-wise is okay also, and then the guys are just we're helping each other. They don't discriminate, and neither did I have any experience of being looked down as an Asian woman. So I could say I feel I was quite lucky in that sense. Thank you.
Okay. Our next question. Many people imagine that engineers sitting in their office, design, making calculations all day. So what are the biggest misconception people have actually about our job? Maybe as engineer Nur Faiza, as the educator, maybe people would say that lecturer is only teaching. So what is the misconception actually? What are you doing actually as an engineer?
All right. I think as engineer, because I've been the trainee of geotech engineer, okay, for about 1.5 years, okay. Actually, I think engineers, people can have different misconceptions. Some people think engineers are often stuck in a cubicle, okay, or just in front of the computer all day in the office. Okay, you are comfort in the aircon, all right. But I think this is and even I think the students, okay, they think that engineering is not for them, okay, because they prefer a job, that is not in a confined, okay, physically, okay. But actually, if you, what I can say is that there are engineering jobs, okay, that are mainly desk bound. Okay, most engineer will be required to spend some time outside their cubicles or as on construction site. Okay, some you might need to go to the lab, or you have to be in plant or factories. So it depends on your depending on the specific engineer field of the engineering. Okay, you might also be able to travel around the world. Okay, so for example, petroleum engineer, you know, they have to visit and oversee the drilling sites and everything. Or in my case, as a geotechnical engineer, you have to go to the site and look for yourself. Okay, you have to climb up the slope in order before you can, you know, decide for either to cut the slope. It is not an easy decision. Okay. And I think another misconception that usually I think especially the student thinks, okay, and even I think my sibling, they always think engineer can fix everything. This is another thing that I think is like, you know, anything in the house that, you know, if it's broken or, you know, there's a problem, for example, the computer hang, you know, the TV hang, you know, they would just think that, you know, engineer, you can fix everything. Okay, so I think this is I don't know whether this is a good the good thing, but I think this is one of the misconception because you know I'm not trying to you know but I'm sorry to disappoint the misconception by youngsters especially, but engineers, we are not magician. Okay, we are not all in one diagnosis where, you know, every technical failure in life, you know, we can fix it. I think I can give you example. Okay, for example, engineer design circuit, okay, at their workplace doesn't mean they are able to fix your light. Okay, and for example, mechanic repair car, okay, while a mechanical engineer, all right, they improve the design of the car. All right, so both are trained to focus on different aspects of the same thing. So yeah, just stop asking me to fix anything in this house. Okay.
Thank you, Engineer Faiza, because I was about to ask Dr. May, can you fix my rice cooker? Because you are the
I was actually laughing because, you know, that's the biggest misconception being an electronics engineer. They thought I could fix anything. So,
yes.
Yeah, but you know, one of the prior of me joining the academe back then, my first job was a technical support of broadcast equipment in TV and radio stations. So can you imagine at the back end of a TV station and a radio station, there are a lot big equipment, like 10 times, you know, bigger than I am. So what they thought being an electronics engineer was just sitting down, working on circuits and so on. But, you know, as a technical support back then, I really have to check on it. I have to climb if I need to climb the towers, the communication towers and the like. I really did that. And I never had those regrets, but I enjoyed every bit of it because it was really a different experience. So I think the misconception on fix everything. Yeah, I agree with you, Dr. Nur Fazai. So it's really something that is one of the biggest misconceptions for being even an engineer.
Okay. How about you, Engineer Alice? When people ask you, you are a civil engineer. So what they normally ask? What is a civil? Some kind of any? What is the civil actually?
Oh yeah. I always come up. Can you hear? Just now I thought my sound was a bit echo.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I was always being asked, especially in the old days, like in the 80s, 90s, there are people who said, what is a civil engineer? Do you build airport? Do you build bridges? And do you build water pipe? How could you be alone building so many things? How can you be specialized in so many things? You know, so I said the civil engineering, of course, I have to explain that it's a very wide field, and then different engineers will take up different fields. So yeah, they do a lot of them in the old days, they were not very clear about what civil engineering actually encompasses. So other than that, I think as the country develops and people start to see water pipelines, sewer system, and roads and highways, then they understand that there's different specialties in civil engineering. And I think our country's Brunei do actually appreciates a lot of good works of the civil engineers and of course the professions of constructions industry, not necessarily just the civil engineering, but also like the quantity surveyor, the architects' contributions into the development of the country. And on top of that, I think they also, obviously, they also complains about civil engineers, building engineers, road engineers, whenever there loops, there are problems in water supply, and also there are problems in potholes and on the road. So yeah, we feel I find it very challenging in that sense, but then the perception is still like, why these engineers cannot do a proper job when it comes to when they come to having to face with some defects in the systems that we provide, in the kemudahan, what you call this kemudahan, the services that we provide. Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, that's why the most misconception was that engineers can fix everything. So that's what we have to be clear with the audience, with the people outside there, that we can't really fix everything, right? Okay. If I can quote from the Professor Hong K.D. Nguyen just now about the gender gap. So, Engineer Alice, any comment on how we could reduce the gender gaps as mentioned by the previous speakers?
I started with the same employer until I retired, which is Public Works Department under the Ministry of Development. And I'm pleased to say that I saw the development of female professionals in the departments and also in the ministry. Fortunately, unfortunate to the guys, fortunately, we're having a lot of young engineers who are female engineers that continue their STEM educations and pursue engineering degrees, pursue architecture degrees, and started working with the Public Works Department and also in the construction industry, like the private consultancy, and also in academic field. So there's a high proportion of ladies engineers now in Brunei. So I think that also has to do a lot with education system, because the scholarships probably 20 years ago, scholarships provided by the government of His Majesty actually has lesser of a gender discrimination. So if your results are good and you want to pursue a degree in engineering, civil engineering, you will get the scholarship. So it's very much of a based on credentials and credits in students' performance. So probably that is one of the reasons why our government has closed the gender gap. In University Technology Brunei and also University Brunei Darussalam, even in Polytechnic Brunei, we can see a very steady growth of the ladies lady students who are taking up all these STEM educations. They can be technicians, technologists, scientists, and also engineering and architecture. So I can say our country is actually doing quite well in the gender gaps. And I just come to slightly into more about the gender gaps in terms of pay. So just now one of the speakers actually talked about pay-wise is low for a female engineer compared to a male engineer. But in the Brunei government system, luckily we do not have that. Everybody has the opportunity, and everybody has the equal salary scales, even though in the private sector as well. But majority is actually depends on the qualifications, the number of years of experience, and the individual who are able to commit more and progress more and also perform better.
I see. Okay. Good to know that Brunei encourage based on the merit, right? Okay. It doesn't matter whether you are male or female, as long as you have a good grades, a same result, then you can enter, you can pursue whatever in the workforce, right? Okay. In academic, like engineer Nur Faiza, how about the gaps between the male student and the female student in the academic?
All right. If we can, because in Malaysia, all right, in Malaysia for women in STEM field, we are provided with the same education system, okay, education as men, and both men and women can employ the same occupation. Okay, so it is true that the engineering is a male-dominated profession, okay, but the choice of career and education is not being restricted based on the gender. Okay, so in school, I mean, at school level, I think we have the opportunity for either male or female student to do STEM, okay. And to join university, we are given the are given the right education, both men and women can take up the same occupation. Okay, it has nothing to do with the appearance or the gender. Okay, and as far as I can see, in Malaysia, women enjoy rights which are equivalent to men. Although in Malaysia, we are rich in culture with many different races and religions, okay, but the supreme law of the country does not discriminate women from having the equal right at job opportunities, the ability to further the studies. Okay, so meaning the opportunity is the same for male and female students. Okay, and in I aware in some countries where women are looked down upon, okay, where they have no right to be employed or something like that. But I can say Malaysian women, okay, highly respected, and there are many women elected as leader and as a CEO for organization. And in fact, in my university now, the vice chancellor, we have a woman in my university for the first time. Okay, so we can see the trend now. So it's kind of a good, we can see women empowerment in leadership nowadays. It might, people will look it, it blooms slowly, but it's happening now. Okay, that's how I can portray it.
Okay. And this morning you met the Vice Chancellor of University Technology Brunei.
Yeah,
Professor
yes.
Dr. Hajar. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So, yeah.
Know that because we are going to have we want to increase the women leadership, women on board. So it is good to know that some countries are already trying to achieve that. Okay. So before I go to the next questions, should any audience here have a questions to our panelists, please write your question in the chat box. Okay. Okay. My next question will be to for Dr. May. Our previous speakers just now mentioned about the lack of leadership skill in the women. So any tips from you to share, maybe how could we fulfill the skill, the gaps there? Dr. May?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's if we talk about leadership skills, these are actually supposedly done at an early age, because leaders are not really born, they are trained. So training should really start back in the family. You know, you can start with your children, little children, to be, you know, they lead on small tasks at home. At the same time, when they are now in the grade school and middle school and in the high school and senior high school, you let them experience being part of a certain group that they would also excel, and that would somehow train them to become, you know, they motivate themselves to assert themselves, to lead a certain group. And in that way, that will now keep them at least in their mind that they can actually lead. The problem for some children is that, and for some parents, if there are tasks that are given to children, sometimes the parents would have to do it for them. So you're not actually teaching your children. You're actually you're not teaching them to assert themselves, to do and to lead a particular task. So I would say my thoughts about it is it really, you know, starts in the family, at the same time in the environment, and later on when he or she will mature, particularly girls, you know, when they mature, I suggest that they would involve themselves in organizations. In that way, they can actually develop their skills on how to work together on, and sometimes if that would really, you know, if they find fulfillment in their work, that would really start already for them to have their career also in their profession, at the same time managing also their lives, because at that point in time they will become already adults. And somehow being a leader is that you can also lead yourself to where you want to be in the future. So that is something. It's not you know, leaders, as I've said earlier, it's not born, but they are actually gradually trained. And essentially, if we start young, then we have later on more leaders to come in the next generation. That's my thoughts about it.
Okay, thank you, Dr. May. I think I kind of agree with you that I think nowadays that parents are more what they call it, more like protecting their children. So whenever maybe the teachers or whoever asking doing something, we like to what we like to do it for them. We are not let them do by themselves, right? So like we are asking them, making sure they can have a good grade. So that's why we are helping them in their homework. Okay, Fadli, can I check? Do we have do we still have time? Fadli?
Leave it to Madam Chair to decide. What do you think, Madam Alice?
Okay.
I think our session is until 5:15, so maybe we can have just like 5:10, we can have a wrap up, and then 5:15 we can have a group photo, so we can have until 5:10.
Okay,
all right, so I'll let the moderator wrap up at about 5:15. She'll pass it back to me, and then we'll have Madam Dear Chair to do some closing remarks in the group photo. All right, enjoy the rest of your session, ladies.
Okay, thank you, Fadli.
Thank you.
Okay, we still have times. Okay, I saw. Okay, we have 2 questions now. Okay, let keeps the question first. Maybe okay. Last questions for all the panelists before we go to the question from the audience. What advice do you have for women who wants to stay success in the STEM? Anyone want to start first?
Well, my only advice is really for them to be successful in STEM is they have to be they have to continue to excel, you know, to excel, not just good enough, but the best with whatever they do.
Be the best among the best, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I do agree with Dr. May Rose also, but I think whatever we do, especially in STEM, well, I guess it's also just like in music or in arts. You must be passionate. You must be passionate about what you want to do. If you want to be a civil engineer, but you are not interested in going to the site, for example, you're not interested in, yeah, you're not interested in cement and mortar and bricks. So that's very difficult. So I think you must be passionate about what you like to do. It's like you love that work, then you can pursue the career.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, from me, I think actually for women engineer who wants to stay success in STEM field, I must say the first thing you have to obtain a strong support system. You have to make sure on that, and then able to reach the work-life balance. Okay, women who wants to stay success in STEM field must be able to juggle the work and family balance. This is, I think, the key point that I know most of my colleagues, okay, our environment for the women engineer, they are having trouble doing this. Okay, so work-life balance is basically a state of equilibrium where you need to equally prioritize the demand of your career and also your personal life. So, you know, because we hope by having a good work-life balance, okay, it will actually can give you positive effects, okay, which will actually it include less stress for you, lower risk of burnout, and greater sense of well-being. Okay, so this not only benefits the employees but also the employers. Okay, so I think for women who wants to stay success, so yeah, get a strong support system and also able to reach the work-life balance.
Yeah, I think we agree. We are fully agree with Miss Tan just now that we are multitasking. We are wife, we are mother, we are a sister to someone else, and we are children for our parents, right? Okay. So okay, we go to questions from the audience. Questions to any panel from Engineer Dr. Zuhaina from IEM. What kind of impact would bring you great satisfaction on your work? Okay, who wants to start first? What kind of impact would bring you great satisfaction? It's like, I did it. What kind of impact would you bring? Okay, who wants to start first?
Yeah, I can volunteer.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there are lots of things that can bring great pleasures and great satisfaction, but one of which I find is able to train your young generations, like the young engineers, the young graduates, and nurture them and make them into a full-grown chartered professional engineers. So I think able to supervise them and making sure that they learn the right ways and eventually become a chartered professional engineers. So that would be one of the greatest satisfactions for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I also agree with Madam Alice. Is really, if you see those whom you have mentored to be also successful, then you know by yourself that somehow you were able to somehow mentor them or assist them in a way. So teaching the next generation is really one of the satisfaction of anyone, not only those in the academy but also those in the industry who are also mentoring the next batch of engineers. Remember, we get old, so we need fresh, we need new engineers to replace us. So we need to train them as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I definitely agree with that. So me as a lecturer, as the educator, you know, I have this experience teaching the same batch of students. They first met me during their semester 1. Okay, at their early age of university life, and then I met them again at their final semesters or final year. And then in fact, some of them still communicating with me now. They are, you know, all over the country, working in the government. Some of them, you know, working outside as engineer, and still have a good relationship with me. So basically, that would be an experience that have given me a big impact, where I can see this group of students of mine blooms and develop their skill from a very fresh student who have zero fundamental basics knowledge on science and, you know, engineering particularly. But now they are the one, you know, working in engineering, you know, as engineer with the government or with the private sector. So definitely, I'm so proud of them. So in a way, yeah, definitely it will bring a great satisfaction in terms of my work.
Okay. Okay, our next question will be from Engineer Sri Hidayati. The questions is, what are the best practice that you have seen or experienced that promote the equal opportunity, diversity and inclusion? Okay. Who wants to start with the best practice?
Can I start? Yeah.
Yes, please.
I wouldn't say it's a best practice yet, because I wanted to see the ultimate effect. But here in the Philippines, all of the government offices are required to have a certain budget, portion of their budget on gender and development. So in a way, this is a promotion on how women are also being supported. So However, as I have mentioned earlier, I would still want to see its impact, because this has been just implemented a few years back. So hopefully our government would have to do some impact analysis on integrating gender and development. In fact, they even created offices and a person in charge of the gender and development office or program in a particular government agency. And that is really something for us, especially here in the Philippines, because we have seen an equal opportunity for both women and men. And in fact, just recently, they even raised the number of days of maternity leave for women when they give birth. So it used to be just 60 days. This time, I think it's about 75 days or 80 days. So that's really a big, big improvement, because they've seen that women are really part of the society that brings forward the development of a particular country. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Okay. Next, Engineer Edis. Any best practice? Engineer, at least you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I also agree with Dr. May that it's not really about practices, whether it's the best or not, but I think is, well, let's say in Brunei government, the maternity leave was increased from 60 days to 108 days. So that is actually a very encouraging equality and opportunity for young adults and young professional, female professionals. So she can have families, and she can be assured that for the 108 days, she has the time to look after the new babies and to make sure she recuperates properly. So I think that is a very good opportunities and very good inclusions in the Brunei government system that allow ladies, well, of course, young engineers included. So other than that, as I said earlier, the pay roles are the same, the pay scale, salary scales are the same, and the universities entrance are the same for both genders. So there's no such of a discriminations between genders for university entrance. So that's what I experienced in Brunei. Okay.
Engineer Faiza?
Okay, for my part, I'm hoping, okay, to maintain a healthy work-life balance, okay, as mentioned by Engineer Alice, okay, given now that I have a 6-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter, okay, so I believe it is critical for me to have this best practice. Okay, I'll establish attainable goal by implementing time management strategies. Definitely have to analyze my to-do list every day, okay, and need to eliminate tasks of minimal or having no value, okay. And I think when you are most productive at work, okay, and you have to reserve that time for your most important work-related activities. Okay, so other times you have to avoid checking, your phone or something like that. That can actually, it's actually it derail our focus and productivity. So I think organizing the day, okay, can actually help us in being productive at work, and it means that we will have more free time to relax outside of the work. Okay, those who are successful at balancing their life frequently point to the flexible work schedule. I think this is, I think recent development have shown with our post-pandemic COVID-19, okay, having we are given by the government and the employer, like myself, by the university, had given the employee more flexibility in terms of the schedule and where they work. Like now, we are working from home, okay? So I think employer can benefit from the flexibility in the long run. As we look ahead, it is clear that employer must find ways to offer flexible work option, okay, if they want to attract and retain top talent, if they want to remain competitive, and if you want to keep your staff with you. All right, so because all of us having different life commitment, our work-life balance will mean different things to different people. So balance is a very personal thing in our always on world, okay, and only you can decide which lifestyle is best for you. Okay, so I think I'm just sharing based on my situation.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Faiza. Okay, because doesn't matter, because this is what the forum is all about. We just sharing our untold stories, right? Okay, last question we got from our gentleman here. Okay, this is a really interesting questions for our panelists. Okay, what effort would you like to see from your husband or male counterpart in helping the cause of gender equality? Okay, who wants to start first?
I leave the question to Engineer Noor.
Mr. Nigel Chin. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Your
Okay, can I answer first?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good and interesting question. Like, what effort would you like to see from your husband? Well, based from experience, I did my master's, my PhD when I had 2 children already. And the best effort that I had seen from my husband was really the support. You know, when he knew that I really need to even go out, you know, out of the country to pursue postgraduate studies, he knew back then that we really needed that, or I needed that for my career, and he supported me all the way. And in fact, during my last going out of the country to study, when my children were already like they were already in college back then, they asked me, "Mom, what is it for you to even study at your age?" So I told them, you know, at this time you may not understand me why I'm doing this, but later on when you have your own families, you might as well, you know, understand why I'm trying to pursue a career not only for me but for the rest. I mean, I will be able to share for the next generation. Okay, so you know, the support from my children, I have two boys, and my husband, the support was really there right from the start. When I started my career, they were all at my back supporting me when I did run for an election of the being a president of the electronics engineers of the Philippines. I even asked them before I pursued that, would you be able to support me if I would have to run for this national seat for our professionals? My children did not have any hesitation. They would say, "Go ahead, Mom." My husband told me, "Go ahead, go ahead. That's really for you. You can help your profession, and that's for your career. Go ahead. We will support you all the way." And I was really very happy about that. And for those young engineers and young women engineers who will be, you know, pursuing your career, your whatever your path is, that's the thing that you have to really get from your husband, your children, is the support, and they have to understand why you are doing it. Yeah. That's the sharing that I can answer for that question.
That's so much true. Okay, because I think when we are doing things, I think when we are focusing more on our career, okay, basically we increase the responsibility at work. We would, you know, having the working longer hours, we could face increase in responsibilities at home, you know, because you too much focus things at work, then you have pending works at home, you know, and yeah, with the kids' needs and everything. So definitely that's where I think the husband or the male counterparts need to hand in hand, you know. You can opt many options. I would name the very particular points that, you know, the husband should do, okay, but you know, because it works differently for different couple and different families, okay. I think the thing is that to have that support, okay, from the husband, that makes the woman engineer can perform in having the work-life balance.
Okay, Engineer Alice, you want to add before we go?
Yeah, I think just a small statement. I think as a couple, it is a kind of a process of growing up together. So when you married your spouse and you are an engineer, if in case he is not an engineer, so both of you should develop the interest of each other's career together. So if he comes back and he's a lawyer and he doesn't talk a word, because lawyer seems to have this very highly confidential informations that cannot share with even the wife, and you have to understand. And vice versa, if you have to go to the site or go overseas for training and stuff like that, and he has to understand. So I guess it's a journey of growing together and getting into each other's understanding and getting into knowing the content, the importance of both careers. So growing together is very important. And I was lucky also because I have maids at home, and the maids can actually look after a lot of all this tedious housework, mopping the floors, ironing the clothes. So you don't have to argue with the husband and say, you iron the clothes and I do the washing, etc., etc. So that is actually very destroying for the relationship. Therefore, you put the housework and the chores aside, and both of you can actually develop the interest in each other's careers and the interesting stories. Both of you can share from the workplace other than the confidential information. Okay.
Okay, I saw Fadli is already on the screen. Okay, but I don't want to disappoint the last question from EIT. Okay, maybe I forward these questions from EIT, Puntrika Walton, to Engineer Alice, yeah? Okay, lots of incredible topics we shared today. What is your view on the progress of equal pay between male and female engineers? Okay, last questions.
Okay, so I must be a bit biased because of course, I've seen a lot of young engineers who develop in my departments, and I tend to realize that a lot of young female and also young female engineers, I'm just looking at the perspective of my career, my departments, and also engineering career. And a lot of these young engineers, young QS and young architects, and not so young one, they put in a lot more time and put in more meticulously, diligently, and responsibly, very responsive. The female is more responsive than the male. So I believe that there should not be a gender inequality in terms of payroll, because I think when women take up something, women are wholeheartedly going to it. We do some projects just like we take care of our babies. We don't even give a 0.1% chance or even 0.01% chance, because if you hold 1,000 babies, 0.1% is you will drop one baby. And that's not what we want, right? So I think we go into certain things, we go into a project, we go into endowments. We always very full-heartedly compared to the male counterparts. So I believe the society should start to accept that there should not be any gender inequality in terms of payroll. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Alice. I think that's I need to wrap up now because it's already 5:16 now. Okay, so thank you very much to our panelists, Engineer Alice Lim from Puja, Dr. Meros from PTC Philippines, and Engineer Faiza from IEM Malaysia. So what we can conclude now just now is that if we want to success in our engineering field, we should have a passion. We should have a passion with our jobs, right? Like Engineer Alice said, we take care of our projects like we take care of our babies. So we really should have the determination in our job, okay? And
take care of our people as well, our staff as well.
Okay, and if we want to excel, and then we always continue to strive to excel, and I think we agree. I agree also with Mr. Nigel just now. The support that we need, not only from our husband, our male counterparts, but also we do need support from our colleagues, our mentors in the office, so that we can work together in the good environment. Okay, so with that, I thank you to all the panelists and thank you to the all audience who are still with us today. Thank you very much. So I pass back to our MC, Cik Fadli. To you, Cik Fadli. Thank you.
Terima kasih Puan Engineer Rusnida Talib. So that was our moderator, and thank you so much. Join me in applauding our fellow moderator and our speakers for such a wonderful session. That was the Untold Stories of Women in STEM. We do hope that does allow us some insights on the incredible experiences that female engineers go through. It's not just what is behind the woman It is the woman itself, indeed. So we're now going to proceed with my biggest pleasure to welcome Engineer Alice Lim, Madam Chair Lady of the Women Engineers AFEO, for her concluding remarks and a wrap up before we do a very nice group photo after this. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Fadi. And also, definitely, I want to express my sincere thanks to our keynote speakers, Yang Berhormat, Architect Siti sorry, Architect Yanti. We're so used to her name as Yang Berhormat Yanti. And also our second speaker, Dr. Suryawati, and also third speaker, Professor Hong. Of course, not to forget the very inspiring paper presented by our four ladies, beautiful ladies, Dr. Engineer Tiana, Ms. Tan, and Dr. Sophia, and also Associate Professor Dr. Uraya. So these stories are actually definitely so inspiring. And the seven speakers, unfortunately, we have not have enough time to give you to address more, and so that we can actually learn more from you. So my sincere apologies for any shortcomings, and also for any unfortunate mistakes, whatever that I have addressed and I accidentally made during the forum and during this whole afternoon session. So definitely my thanks goes to all the, of course, my moderators and Fadli, and also the forum's panelists in the last hour of discussions. And my sincere thanks also to all the participants here who has spent the lengthy 3 hours plus of your time to listen to our stories and to listen to the inspiring stories, and also the developments of women engineers in this built environment. Thank you very much. And I hope you have also get inspired, extended, and acquired knowledge from these sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair Lady. Engineer Alice Lim, many big thanks, I think, for convening us for this lovely once in a year opportunity for CAFEO to come together, but more specifically for women engineers from ASEAN. Now, I think it's the moment that we're all waiting for. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please switch on your cameras. We will have a group photo shortly, just a very simple pose and big smiles. You can just ask everyone to switch on your cameras. I'll have the IT to unpin Madam Alice shortly from her screen, yeah, Pangeran, and we'll just wait for a few seconds for everyone to just switch on their screens. About 61, so there's several pages. Okay, all right, you ready? Okay, I'll now count 1, 2, 3. Big smiles. Look at the camera. Big smiles. Just pause a big smile for this group photo opportunity. Just give us a few seconds. One more page. Big smiles. Big smiles. Very beautiful smiles. Okay, thank you very much, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. That was the group photo. I think, as with customs and norms, we will have a Surah Al-Asr shortly. But on behalf of Puja Brunei Darussalam, we would like to take this opportunity to thank the esteemed members of the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organizations, invited guests, esteemed speakers for your valuable time, excellent energy throughout this summit. We do apologize for any shortcomings in the proceedings and wish you a productive conference ahead. With that, allow me to just recite Surah Al-Asr just to conclude today's session. Astaghfirullahalazim, astaghfirullahalazim, astaghfirullahalazim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus solihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Sadaqallahul azim, taqabbalallahu minna minkum. Once again, my name is Fadli, live from Bandar Seri Begawan. It has been an honor to be your host. For those who are joining me with the Young Engineers Dialogue on Wednesday, 4 p.m. Brunei time, I will see you then. But otherwise, for everyone else, hope you've had the pleasure. Please take care, and I will see you soon. So take care, prepare, and prosper. Bersama-sama together. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
See you
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Yes. See you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.